Welcome to the Sharpe Show. So happy to have you with me this evening, a little bit past 8 p.m. on the East Coast. It's Monday, so I come on late sometimes on Monday because I am packed on Monday, making up for the weekend. Spent a lot of time doing a lot of work this weekend, trying my best to catch up on so many things, and I somehow fall behind constantly. But I did want to do a show. I hadn't done one in a couple of days. I was spending time with my family this last weekend. Now I've got a little bit of free time, not much, but some. And I thought I'd do a reaction. Greg sent me a piece. He asked if I would look at both a video and an article. And I thought, he's a member. And as I said, I will react to what members send me. Most of you send me political stuff, which you can send me other than political stuff, but I don't mind. This one I wanted to touch on because it's kind of happening now. So I thought it was good timing to discuss it. Also, I think it's kind of surprising. I haven't checked the whole video out, but I did check the article out. It's a relatively short article. The video's a bit longer, but we'll look into it. It is all about how a lot of people, particularly neocons, really think we should handle Iraq, Iran, Houthis, all of those groups, and the logic behind it. And I want to react to it. It may make some of you unhappy, but I will give you my opinion either way. Please stay and listen, and you can yell at me still. I'll take comments. You can, if you think I'm insanely wrong, but no matter what, click the button known as Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. You know what I'm talking about. Do that. Do it now in case you don't like what I have to say. So click it now so I get your like no matter what. Don't unlike it. Just if you don't like, just walk away. Don't give me the like no matter what. I deserve it for taking the odds and saying things that some of you aren't going to like, but some of you will like it, I'm sure. I do want to walk down that road. So I will show you first, believe it or not, pop this up. I will first show, I think that's what I'll do. The first thing I will show actually is the first thing I'll show is actually if I can get it up here, the article. The article itself, let's see if I can find it here. There we go. Yeah, this is the article itself, right? It's here. It is a guy named Chuck Holton, who I actually did not know well at all. I think I'd heard of him from something else, but I did not know him very well at all. But this is the article. I will read the article just so you can see it. It's very short. It's very short, just so you'll know. But that's the article I'm talking about. It is called "The World's on Fire and We're Feeding the Flames." He says, Yemen, we're not just bombing anymore. Let's start with Yemen. The real government, the one the world recognizes, not the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels, is finally pushing back. I don't know what he's talking about. They have been fighting a civil war for decades. I don't know what he's talking about. With U.S. Special Forces on the ground and American air power overhead. Just what we needed, another proxy war. 80,000 Yemeni troops are preparing to take back territory, starting with the port city of, I believe it's pronounced Hodeidah, I think that's correct, and then advancing towards Sana'a. CENTCOM, which is American control, is providing JTACs to call in airstrikes as a way of tipping the scales. Yeah, so we're going to be giving them support like we did in Ukraine. How's that working? We've been fighting in Yemen for years. How's that working? Yeah. Why are we involved? Okay, good question. Because the Houthis keep lobbing missiles at U.S. ships and global shipping lanes. Not true. Hardly any U.S. shipping goes by there. Global shipping lanes, true. Not U.S. Hardly any U.S. ships. And make no mistake, Americans can't bomb us way out of this one. True. Cannot bomb our way out. He's correct. We need boots on the ground. I disagree completely, but he agrees. But I will be very honest. If the Houthis are as bad as they say they are, if that's true, then he would be correct. I've said it before. If the Houthis are as bad as they say, invasion is the only answer, right? I don't believe they're as bad as he says they are. But if I'm wrong, and they are, invasion is the only answer. Proxy war doesn't work. We've tried that before. It doesn't work. He says, that's the hard truth, and we're finally waking up to it. Well, if that's true, I hope he's correct. But so far, our strikes are just a whisper when we need a roar. We're averaging 30 airstrikes a day in a country the size of California. It's not enough. He wants more. Because, more bombing always works. We don't need to bomb civilians. We need to make life so miserable for the Houthi regime that their own people turn against them. That's worked exactly, if I count, yeah, right, never. That's never worked. This is This guy just is literally just spewing neocon talking points that you could put anything here. You could put this in Iran, Cuba, North Korea. It doesn't matter. It's neocon talking points. They never work. You could watch, I don't know, OAN for like 10 minutes and get these talking points, and that's it. But this guy's popular, so I guess people really like neocons. Maybe I should become a neocon. People really like neocons, but that's all he's saying. He keeps going. No electricity, no fuel, no water. But don't affect the civilians? Okay. You want to play terrorist games? You don't get to have nice things. Oh, thanks, Dad. He thinks we're the dad. Okay. Then he goes into Israel, flattening Gaza to send a message. To send a message. They're flattening Gaza and killing tens of thousands of people to send a message. That's a loud message. Maybe not one I want to hear, but okay. Over in Gaza, the IDF has shifted strategy. Oh, okay. Sounds good. It's no longer just about killing Hamas fighters. It's about taking land permanently. Okay. Well, that's honest, at least. You know what? Be honest. I'm actually okay. At least we know where you stand. You can deal with that. Okay. But then acting like we're not doing it. And all right, he's all about it. For every day Israel's hostages aren't returned, they take more ground, raises the ground. Northern Gaza is rubble, and buffer zones are expanding. Entire neighborhoods are gone. He's proud of this. This is the problem with people like him. He's proud of this. If you honestly believe that you need to level places like dropping the bombs we did on Japan or leveling Germany as we did, if you believe that that's required, while I may disagree, I can understand it, right? If you think there's no other way but this, if you believe that. Again, I don't, but I can understand that logic. Why would you be proud of it? I wouldn't be proud of it. I'm not proud of what we did with Japan. I get that some people thought it was the only answer. I don't agree with that, but that's okay. I can understand why people would see dropping the bombs in Japan were appropriate. I could understand that logic. I can't understand being proud of it. Right? If you believe that's true, okay. But now you're happy. You should feel terrible that this is the way to do things. You should feel terrible that you're in a situation to where you believe that type of devastation is the only answer. That should be something you do reluctantly, not, yeah, take that. That should not be, take that, civilians with no water and no electricity and dying. Good for you. Or like that guy Murray's talking about, you made bad decisions, so now tens of thousands of you die. This is not something we should be proud of. He clearly is proud of this. And when Hamas hides in hospitals, mosques, UN-run schools, the IDF warns civilians to get out because they love them. Then they bomb those buildings to dust. Critics call it war crimes. I call it targeting the enemy where he is, a basic tenet of warfare. Is that true? That's how that works. So if bad guys in Italy run into and are able to get into, I don't know, into Rome, into Vatican City, because they have guns and stuff, and they get into Vatican City and they overwhelm the guards, we should just bomb Vatican City because bad guys there? Is that how that logic works? Because bad guys there? There's a lot of bad guys in New York City. Should we just bomb New York City? Lots of them. There's lots of bad. 8 million people here. A lot of them are bad guys. Tons of them. If just 0.1% are bad guys, that's what? So 80,000? Is my math right? Or is it 8,000? Whatever that number is. That's a whole lot of bad guys. Bomb the city? That logic doesn't work. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. It just isn't. So the sad truth, the longer Hamas plays hide and seek behind civilians, the more buildings will be leveled. He's proud of this. This is even if you agree with this logic, this neocon pride in doing this is horrible for America. It makes us look bad. It is immoral, and it makes the world hate us. Again, even if you believe this, why is he so proud of this? And people watch him. They think he's great. Lebanon, on the northern border, Hezbollah has been getting hit hard. Their solution, hand over nearly 200 of their military outposts to Lebanese armies in hopes Israel won't bomb them anymore. It's a shell game, and everyone knows it. If everyone knows it, then why would they do it? Does this make any sense? Of course not. If everyone knows it, why would they do it? They're handing it over because they've been broken, right? They've been broken. The attacks that that Israel did, if you remember the beeper attacks, brilliant. Whether you are for or against this, whatever you think, does not matter. That was brilliant. If you remember when it happened, I literally said here on the show, I said within a week or two, there's an attack and invasion, guaranteed. Within a week or two, guaranteed invasion. I thought within the first week, I was right. Why? It was a brilliant move, right? And I remember I expressed why. The Hezbollah works in small cells. When the leadership was taken out, the cells had no communication. So they couldn't retreat, move back. They couldn't do it the last time the Israelis invaded. Excuse me, last time Israelis invaded, Hezbollah was able to pull back, ambush, and Israelis took a beating the last time they went in. This time that didn't exist. So the cells just stood fast and Israelis just crushed them, right? It was a brilliant move. So that's true. So now they're basically surrendering. They don't have enough bodies. That's one of the reasons why Syria fell, as I told you. The troops that Hezbollah, many of them are either backed by or are Syrian or Syrian-led or Syrian is somehow supported. Well, those people are gone. They couldn't even get back to Syria. That's why Syria fell. They're handing over the bases because there aren't enough of them and they can't communicate well. They're broken. That's just true, right? That's why Israel invaded Syria. Hezbollah's broken. It's not a shell game. They're broken from the war, right? Oh, they attacked them on the ground, and then the Turks came in Syria. The Israelis came in the south. The Turks came in the north. They're broken. That's what it is. It's not about a shell game. They're broken. So the Lebanese army isn't about Hezbollah. They're basically roommates. So now they're roommates. Okay. And for $300 million a year in U.S. aid, at least they pretend they care. Okay. Ukraine, Russia's mass murder on Palm Sunday. On Palm Sunday, Russia bombed the Ukrainian town of Sumy, killing 37 civilians, including children, on the way to church. And when first responders rushed to help, Russia hit them with a second missile. That's been the thing that Russia has been doing. That's correct. That's accurate. Ukrainians did it a couple times. They've done it a couple times too, but this is really a Russian tactic. And one of the reasons why is the Russians have so many more bombs. And basically it's 2 volleys, right? It's basically a repeat. For those of you who know artillery, it's a repeat. So you fire the first volley, you wait X amount of time, and then fire a second volley. What this was a tactic that's used in war, not for this. It's used for the first volley hits and hopefully breaks up all of the fortifications. And then the second round comes in and trashes whoever's left in the fortifications. That's what it's supposed to be used for, not for civilians. Now, they're using it for civilians, but it's supposed to be used in military. Smash the fortifications the first round. Everything's torn up. Second round comes in and gets through the fortifications that have been broken by the first round. That's a repeat volley. That's what it's supposed to be used for. It's a tactic used in combat. They're using it for that. So yes. So what happened was the rounds hit. First responders come in to support people. The second volley comes in, and now it's killing first responders. That's true. It's an accurate statement. He goes at terrorism, of course. What did President Trump say about it? Probably a mistake. No, Mr. President, it was a massacre. We've done worse, just to be forward. Trump can't say much because Obama was bombing weddings, right? So, yeah. Bush was killing families. So, yeah, we've done far worse. But this is still bad. Yes. He goes on to say, meanwhile, the EU just pledged $2 billion to the Palestinian Authority. I think we get that. That's true. Money we know gets funneled in terrorists or used to pay martyr families. Now, why is he unhappy with that part? If your kid is killed in war and you get money, we get money in the military. If we get killed in war, family gets money. That part's not bad. I get the terrorist part, solid. But the part of going back to families, I mean, yeah, your young men are dead. You should get something. I'm not against that part. I'm not against. So it's insanity. We're literally funding our enemies. True. We've been funding our enemies for decades. This is not a new thing that we just came up with, right? He's like, we're funding our enemies. Yes, we've been doing it forever. We funded the Taliban for what, 10, 20 years before we fought them? Yes. Right? We literally now have armed the Taliban better than we've ever have. Yes. Of course. We would give money to Iranians. Biden gave money to Iranians. They got funded too. Yep. We've been doing it forever. Hasn't stopped. Totally true. Yep. Absolutely true. Even Western parts for killer drones, but in Germany, Spain, and the UK are turning up in Hezbollah and Russian attacks. That's because they all resell. That part's not fair. All of these things get resold. So literally, we could be sending drones off that could be used against us in the future because we sell them to X, X sells them to Y sells them to Z. And the other thing that happens is in these corrupt proxy wars, they sell off just for cash. I'm not joking. So literally, the Germans might sell the Ukrainians, whatever, 1,000 drones. I'm making that number up, right? 1,000 drones. Well, those drones now literally get shipped to units. Well, the units are run, their offices are run by people who are part of the buddies of Zelensky or whomever, right? This isn't just Ukraine. This is all over. I'm using Ukraine as an example because so much is going there. So Ukraine's general gets 1,000 drones. He goes, excellent. He takes 500 and says, here you go, troops. Use them to go bomb Russians. I'm going to take these 500. He doesn't tell them that. And he sells them on the black market. Happens all the time. And I mean that. That happens all the time. Again, not just in Ukraine, all over, but most of the drones now are going to Ukraine. So then he sells them to wherever he wants to. The Syrians might buy them. Chinese might buy them. Whoever. Houthis buy them. Syrians buy whatever. They buy them. He takes that money and puts it in his pocket. He does not take that money, give it back to, whatever, Ukrainian war effort. That's not a thing, right? So he'll give 500 to his troops to fight. He'll take 500 and sell it to somebody else. And that's how that comes back. In fact, those drones, I'm not joking, may come back to kill his own troops. Because he could sell them to somebody else, some broker, some Chinese broker, and the Chinese broker will sell them back to the Russians. And the Russians will then use them against his own troops. That's an actual thing. So that part, he's correct, but that's not because any country's worse or ever. It's literally the black market of weapons, right? So that true, but that's not us or anybody else. He's grasping at straws to be righteous. Some of the things he's saying are true. Some of them are blatantly wrong. Some aren't even our issue at all. So, final word. Here's what I know. We don't win wars with soft words and half measures. We haven't won a war since 1945. Let me say it again in case you didn't hear that. We have not won a war since 1945. So he's not wrong, but we don't know how to win a war. We don't know how to do that. That's not a thing America does anymore. We don't win wars. We fight wars. We don't win. We win battles. Don't get me wrong. Our troops, our military is amazing. We win almost every battle. Once in a while, we will lose a battle here or there. But I mean, if there's 10 battles, we win 9. I'm not even joking. We win overwhelming amount of battles that American military fights. It wins. It does lose sometimes. Very rarely. We almost always win the battles because our troops and our military is great. It's true. Most powerful in the world. Dedicated, well-equipped, well-trained. But our politicians don't know how to win a war. See, troops don't win the war. Troops win battles. Politicians win wars. So we win battles all the time. We haven't won a war since 1945. I'm not joking when I say that. We haven't won a war since 1945. So now he goes on to say, we win by standing for truth, irrelevant, projecting power, not true, and refusing to coddle tyrants. You mean like Stalin? You mean like Mao? You mean like the Saudis? You mean like Turkey? He just made that up. None of that's true. Nothing he just said is true. That, again, 101 neocon talking points. We win the war for standing for truth. Means nothing in a war. That's not a thing. What's the old saying? The first thing that dies in war, the first casualty of war is truth? Yeah. Not true. Projecting power. Who cares? If you project power effectively, according to him, you don't fight a war. So, not true. And then refusing to coddle tyrants. We coddle tyrants all the time. All the time. I just named like 4 of them. There's probably 20 more that I hadn't even thought of that we coddle. Neocon talking points. None of that's true. If you're a parent, you know the principle. If your kid won't listen, you start taking away privileges. Oh, so now we're the world's dad. Neocon 102, right? That was 101. This is Neocon 102. Remember, Neocon 102. America is the world's dad. Neocon world 102. So we got 101 and 102 here. He went to the extra class. Okay, great. If you're a parent, you know this principle. If your kid won't listen, you start taking away privileges. No phone, no Xbox, no bedroom door. How bad is your kid? I have 2 kids in New York City. Never have I do this. If you actually want to be a good parent, and yes, let me get on my high horse for a moment because I have 2 kids. Let me get on my high horse. You want to be a good parent. The number one thing you must do, number one, is be a good example. That's the number one. Because kids don't do what you say. If they did, you would have to take away their phone or the Xbox or bedroom door or whatever. No, kids don't do what you say. Kids do what you do. That's what kids do. Kids do not do what you say. They do what you do. So the concept that Reagan brought up back in the 80s was the right concept. We weren't that good at it, but it was the right concept. We should be that shining city on a hill that everyone wants to be like. That's the way they'll do it. When we were that, or at least pretended to be that, people came to us in droves and wanted to be like us. Of course, that was the goal. But he's like, no, they don't do what we say. Punish them. Take away their Xbox. That's what he says. Same with rogue nations. Oh, we're not a rogue nation, but they're a rogue nation. Okay. No water. That's what he says. No fuel. No water. No fuel. No sympathy. That's the only language you understand. Could you be more jingoistic? Could you be more condescending? If you think about that way for your kid is going to grow up and leave you. I can guarantee it. You do that to your kid, and then if you have children, if you treat your children this way, they don't live with you anymore. They don't. You've pushed them away. And they're cruel to their kids, as you were cruel to them, because they do what you do, not what you say. Why do you think so many of our previous colonies are dictatorships? I'm not joking. Why are so many? We taught them. That's the reason. We taught them. The ones that we left nice and peacefully are not as bad. India being a good example. Look at us as America. We became our father. We've become the British Empire. We treated our colonies, not we meaning Americans, but the West in general, treated colonies so horribly, so viciously, that when they became free, they treated their people the same way we treated them. This makes no sense. There is no evidence of what he's saying. He just made this up. There we go. Okay. It's the only language that they understand. And if you can't tell the difference between good and evil anymore, you've already lost the fight. So I'm not sure who's the evil one. Might be him. Might be. All right. I thought it was interesting. You guys might enjoy that piece. I wanted to bring it up if I can. So let me go here. Dave says, very few want to come here now. True. Yes. Phil says, I agree. First Blood was amazing and Undersold is an action film. Stallone was a good writer. I might have missed something, but yes, I think that I agree with that, but I might have missed something. So Mike Voss is in the house. Iran came to Trump. Unlike Biden, it took no bribes, no reduced sanctions, all to get no talks. Trump is handling Iran fine. All to get no talks. Unlike Biden, it took no bribes, no reduced sanction, all to get no talks. I'm not sure, but you're going with that. But he will talk about that, by the way. I'm going to bring his video up. He doesn't like what he's doing, Mike. I think he would disagree with you. He thinks you're wrong. He thinks Trump's messing it up. I'm not joking. I'm going to tell you in a second. He thinks Trump is messing it up. He disagrees with you. So Rick says, Trump's playing a version of Iraq and Iran we played as kids. He kicks him in the doodads and yells, Iraq. Then he runs away screaming, Iran. Oh, that's cute. I like that one, Rick. That's cute. I appreciate it. That is good. All righty. Let's see here. I do appreciate you guys all popping in here real fast doing that. Lunatic is in the house. Yep, absolutely. All righty. Gene says, I didn't even know we're fighting in Yemen. I'm not surprised, but I didn't know. Yeah, true. Absolutely true. Yes. Mike goes on to say, no U.S. troops on the ground. Houthis aren't strong compared to non-Middle East nations, just very embedded. This guy is going off half cock. Correct. Accurate. Yep. Lunatic says the author's a clown. Correct. Absolutely. Yes. Agreed. 100%. Yep. Greg says, wow, Larry, I totally disagree. He's not a neocon. He was a former Army Ranger and ultimately doesn't want war, but he's realistic about what needs to be done to win a war if he decided to wage it. I'll put the video on, Greg. I'll put it on. I think he's absolutely neocon. I think it's clear he's neocon. I think he's also absolutely incorrect in what he's thinking. I think he is absolutely incorrect in how he's thinking it. But here, let me walk down that road. Let me. If I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong. I am happy to be wrong. Roy says, yes, Hezbollah was working in small cells until those cells blew up, totally targeted as terrorists, yet Western media still blames Israel. No, you're not wrong with that, Roy. The point that I brought up is, I know some people are still mad at Israel for what they did, All I'm saying is that was a brilliant tactic. Like, they got it. If you remember, I'm sure you know, absolutely remember this. Years ago, when the last time, not this time, last time Israel went in, they got the military got hurt badly. They took a beating. They took a beating and had to leave. And it was because the communication in those cells was very good. And they were able to shift and move and deal with the Israeli military. This attack let those small cells just get stuck, and they were trashed. You're totally correct. And that's a critical piece. Totally accurate. Yes. That's totally accurate. Yes. All righty. Forest Mommy's in the house. I'm not sure they are real people over there. I'm not a racist. I'm not in a racist way, just in the what the F way. Hold on. I'm not sure they're real people over there, and not in a racist way, just in the what the F day. Not sure where you're going with that one, Forest Mommy. Not sure where you're going with that one. Yeah. Lunatic says, university categorizing humans under an umbrella of emotional charged hatred is just dehumanizing. Correct. Mike says the double tap. Correct. Yes. Correct. Yes. Absolutely. All true. All those true. So let me put this on, and you can tell me, right? You can tell me. Maybe I'm wrong. Yes. Lily goes on to say, Larry, very true. We never win wars since 1945. We have forgotten the recipe. Yeah. Her says Persian Gulf War 1990. I think we didn't win that war. How'd we win that war? Hirsch. I was in during that time. How'd we win that? We didn't win that war. At best, that was a draw. At best. Yes, we pushed him out of Kuwait. Correct. And what do we have? We stayed there for how many years? He was still in charge. Some stupid zone. We won the battle. As I said again, we won the battle. We did not win the war. That war was, if we won that war, why do we have to go back to 2003? Because we didn't win the war the first time. That's the whole point. And we didn't win 2003. They threw us out, and Iraq's still a disaster. That's not a win. That's at best a draw. Again, we won the battles. I'm not saying you're wrong when it comes to battles. We lost the war. If we didn't win the war, if we had won the war, we wouldn't have to go back in. It would have been over. How many times did we have to go back into Germany? We didn't. We won that war. How many times we had to go back into Japan? We didn't. We won that war. Didn't have to go back. So, yeah. So, Roy's on my side. Be a good example and reward good behavior. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. All right. Let me, if I can, actually show you part of what he then did a video. He liked it so much, he was like, I'm going to do a video now. Okay. This is his video. You tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm off on this. I'm happy to be wrong, guys.
Of the war in Israel, tell you what's going on there. We're going to talk a little bit about the war in Ukraine, especially about the massacre that took place on Palm Sunday, just yesterday, in the city of Sumy, which is up near the Russian border. We're going to talk about that. But
I'm going to bring an important part. This is Life 85. Would Kamala have been more of a libertarian on free speech for campus students and due process? As bad as GWB was, it seems he didn't censor those who were against the Iraq war. Two parts to that. Without question, George W. Bush, not my favorite president, clearly, but he was far better on due process compared to the people after him, and he was far better on the First Amendment compared to those after him. I think that's true. Yes, I completely agree. Excuse me, he was better than those after him. Do I think Harris would have been more of a libertarian? No. I think she just would have picked hers, right? I think she probably would have been worse, but just on whatever she felt. She's behind Israel too. She would have been bad. She'd have been throwing people in jail too, just like Trump. She wouldn't have changed. But she also would have been like, and then you said, I don't know, something with, I don't know, DEI stuff. Throw you off. So I don't think she would have been any better. I don't. I do think George W. Bush was better than the people who came after him. Yes. But I don't think Harris would have been any better. I don't think so.
First, let's talk about what's going on in Yemen. The news is that the Yemeni government, now again, remember to differentiate between the Yemeni government and the Houthi government, because the Houthis are a rebel group that took over from the internationally recognized Yemeni government.
Because that matters, but that's fine. No worries. No worries. I do want to bring up what Mike says. Mike and I are on the same page here. He says, the reason U.S. has not won wars is that we never fought for victory. True. We weren't trying to win them, Mike. You're correct. We fought for battle's sake, not to win due to politicians. 100% accurate. Mike, you're 100% on board. Yes. Right. Are you saying, is anyone saying we couldn't have won these wars? Of course we could have. We could have. We didn't. We don't. We fight wars just to keep the military-industrial complex going. I hate being so trite when I say it. It's still true. As trite as that sounds, it is true. We just fight for that. Mike is correct. We win the battles. We just can't win the wars.
And as I've said before, those guys aren't fantastic either, and not good friends of the United States necessarily, but they are recognized as the legitimate government of Yemen, and they still hold, I guess, somebody from Yemen actually wrote me the other day and helped me understand it a little bit better.
Okay, he helped
the
you out.
Yemeni
Okay.
government actually still holds the vast majority of the territory
That's not
in
true.
Yemen, but the Houthi government controls the area where most of the people live, which is not.
That's actually not true. It's not vast majority. It's the majority, not vast majority. There's a huge chunk.
The western coast. So the Yemeni government has been marshaling its troops, mobilizing about 80,000 soldiers, which they plan to use to retake the areas that are held by the Houthis, especially.
Okay, the number of, there are literally tens of millions of people in Houthi-held territory. Let me repeat that. Tens of millions of people in Houthi-run territory. Tens of millions, right? So you're gonna take that with 80,000 people, soldiers, to take tens of millions. Impossible.
Starting
Mike
in
asks,
Hodeida.
how many mugs? 2. One is water, one's
Now,
coffee.
This is with backing from the.
You guys will often see I have 2 mugs that I drink from often. Why? Years ago, I had a guy who was a professional opera singer, who him and I were friends. And I asked him, I said, man, your voice is amazing. How do you handle it? He goes, Larry, you're making a mistake. I said, what? He said, you drink a lot of coffee. I said, true, I do. I drink a lot of coffee. I've been drinking a lot of coffee for a long time. He goes, it's going to take your voice up. You can't do that. I said, what? He goes, yeah, you got to stay hydrated. Every time you drink, you got to drink more water. I said, how about every time I drink coffee, I also drink water? He said, that's good. Since then, that was probably 15 years ago. When I have coffee, I also have water. I have both. That is to keep my voice going, because I use my voice to make my money, because I'm always talking. So I got to make sure I keep it going. So that's why I always do that. So thank you for noticing. 2. I will sometimes have 3 if I need like double water, but usually it's 2.
United States, the U.S. has special forces on the ground in Yemen, working with the Yemeni government to help mobilize and train these troops.
Because that works every time.
And when the Yemeni government goes to battle against the Houthis,
which they've been going again often,
it's likely that the United States will be assisting directly in terms of air support for those ground troops. So we probably will have combat controllers on the ground, JTACs, who will be able to move with the Yemeni forces, call in fire from above.
This is all stuff that means nothing. I'm glad he's saying it, but it means nothing.
Or, whatever we want to use.
Yeah. Lunatic says it. They are consultants, just like Larry. Yes, that's correct. It's easy. No big deal. This is terrible. This is not amazing at all, right? We did this also in Afghanistan. We were training the Afghanis. How'd that work out? How fast did that collapse? It's just stuff we say. Like, there's no evidence of what he's saying ever working. It hasn't worked. We did exactly this in Afghanistan against Taliban for 20 years. We trained them for 20 years. And what happened? They fell in what? 2 days, whatever it was. I forgot how long they fell. They fell like that. They fell like that. No, this is a joke. We trained the Vietnamese. Remember that? We trained the South Vietnamese army. Trained them for years. We went in Vietnam for 10 years. What happened then? They collapsed. Done. It's not a thing. This never works. But these guys keep saying this stuff, and it never works. It has never worked once. And they keep saying it. It doesn't work.
And then direct that fire onto Houthi targets to help them. We're just sort of.
He just said in his thing, bombing's not going to work. So what are we going to do? Bomb them better.
We're putting our thumb on the scale a little bit to
that works.
Help the Yemeni government retake area from the Houthis. And again, it's not because we're such good friends with the Yemeni government. It's just that they have promised not to shoot at the ships that go by Yemen. And that would be a really good thing. And so you've heard me saying all along, the United States cannot bomb its way out of this problem. There's going to have to be troops on the ground.
Right.
And that's what we're seeing.
No, we're not seeing troops on the ground. We're seeing them fight their civil war they've been fighting for over 10 years. When did that civil war start? 10 years ago? Something like that. Around 10 years ago was when I'm sorry. There have been civil wars in Yemen for like 50, 60 years. I don't even know how long. At least 50 years there have been civil wars. This iteration started about 10 years ago. We've been fighting in Yemen for give or take 10 years. Mike Boss knows. Anyway, it's about 10 years, right, in that area. So we've been doing it for that long. We've been bombing. Obama was bombing them. This is not going to work. This is not going to work. The Saudis have given up.
The United States.
Oh, hold on. Mike says Yemen's war recent 2012. There we go. So I'm off 13 years. And it was about 10 years. Thank you, Mike. There we go. 13 years.
Leveraging its special operations forces to raise and arm and train enough men from the Yemeni government in order to go in and fight against the Houthis and hopefully push them out. The aim is to encircle the Houthis in Hodeidah and then advance toward Sana'a.
So look, I get he's reading something that someone sent him, or he's reading something he read on OAN or Newsmax or whatever neocon site he's reading. There's lots of goals to do all types of things. None of that's going to work. It doesn't work. Let's assume those 80,000. If he knows there's 80,000 troops ready to walk into the Houthis, if he's right, and that's about to happen, then the Houthis know. If the Houthis know 80,000 troops coming at them, they get walked over? No, of course not. So what does that mean? They're walking into an ambush. Yes.
If they can retake those two cities, they will have the majority of the area that's held by the Houthis already. Now, I talked a lot about the history of this conflict in my last live.
Well, then you should probably go back and read it again, because here's the problem. If all of a sudden, he says the size of California, could you take California with 80,000 troops? Even if California didn't fight back, could you occupy California with 80,000 troops? No. There's more people. There's more than 80,000 people in my neighborhood here in New York, in Astoria, Queens. There's about 70, almost 80,000 people in Astoria, Queens. There's more people in my neighborhood than there are in those troops. 80,000. And it's insane. This is not a thing. He's making this up. Why is he's believing it? Because he wants to believe it.
If you go back last week on Friday, I talked about the fact that there was a 7 years or so where the UAE and with help from the United States was fighting against the Houthis.
So he literally contradicts himself. This time it's going to work. But for 7 years, the UAE, a wealthy, small country, but wealthy country, small but wealthy, with help from America, was fighting him. For 7 years, it didn't work. But this time, it's going to work.
The Yemeni army, the Yemeni troops.
Yep.
And
same thing.
Essentially failed.
Oh,
those
surprise!
The Houthis are getting so much armament from Iran, and so by taking over Sana'a and Hodeidah, the Houthis were able to capture most of the major military
So to be clear, the Yemeni army with the UAE and America was fighting the Houthis, and that's when, for 7 years, and that's when the Houthis took over these two cities. So when America and the UAE was helping the Yemenis fight these guys, that's when they lost those two cities. But this time, don't worry, Andrea, this time.
Bases in those regions with
yes.
all of the military hardware, including helicopters and
see that this time's going to work.
Stuff like that.
Here's how I know it's not going to work is because they haven't come to the table. Like he's brought this up, right? The Iranians are coming to the table. Why? They're getting hammered. They're like, we need to come to the table. Okay, right? Hezbollah been devastated in that war, giving up their bases. Okay. What are Houthis giving up? They still bombing. But this time it's going to work. Come on.
Artillery, you name it. So it's one thing when they're a scrappy group of desert dwellers with long guns.
Just dismissing them all. Yeah, just like that's what the Afghanis were. But they whipped their ass. That's what the Vietnamese were. They whipped their ass. Never learn. This guy's got gray hair like me. You should know better. You should know better.
When they get tanks and armored personnel carriers and helicopters. So where did they?
Lunatic says desert dweller, right? He's just insulting them because this guy just wants to insult people. This guy's jingoistic. He just wants to insult people. That's what he does. It's us versus them in his mind. They're the them. They're not, he dehumanizes them because they're not real humans in his eyes. You can see it. He says it. We see what he reads. They don't know anything but violence. That's what they said literally to every group of people who they ever enslaved. Every group of people who were ever enslaved, the masters would always say, all they know is violence. That's to any group of slaves from history, from the Jewish people to black people and everyone in between, everyone who's ever been enslaved, the masters always said, all they know is violence. Why? You have to dehumanize them or you can't enslave them.
The HS come from?
Yeah. Never underestimate the military-industrial complex. True, Hirsch. John says, Larry, why are we concerned with this conflict? Because I don't know. Shouldn't be. He said because they're bombing something, whatever. I don't know. Because the Saudis care, maybe? Military-industrial. Someone got a bomb? Ukraine might end. We can't have that. It's bomb people, John. Come on, get with the program. We're about bombing.
I'm going to move this over here so I can.
He's got to read his other neocon talking point.
So the UAE is still supporting the fight against the Houthis. Supporting the Yemeni government.
We are
using them as almost a proxy force, even though they pulled their troops out of Yemen in 2019. The whole point here is to just secure the maritime routes and counter Iran in the.
Okay, you could counter Iran by doing what Witkoff is doing, by going there and making a deal with them, which Witkoff is doing. Right? That would be the best way. You could just send Witkoff over there, which Trump is doing, and have him go over there and make a deal. You could do that. Or you could spend another 7 years with UAE, with troops on the ground, fighting the Houthis again for 7 more years. You could, that's just about, let's do your options better.
In Yemen and elsewhere. Okay. So over the weekend, the Houthis launched 2 missiles toward Israel.
2 missiles.
Sirens were going off in Jerusalem.
Damn.
I got a video sent to me from Chris Mitchell, who's in Jerusalem, of
2
the
missiles.
Sirens going off in Jerusalem. And that's because that Houthi missile was headed toward Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv.
Okay.
It was intercepted by the IDF, but it was in Israeli airspace this time. And so there was some shrapnel that fell in Hebron.
Got it.
That makes more than 20 missile or drone attacks since March 18th, when everything restarted
Okay.
In Gaza. All the fighting's restarted.
So if I'm not mistaken, they've sent a bunch of missiles over towards Israel. None have landed. They've been intercepted. So why don't the Israelis attack? Why don't we try to talk peace? We could do any of those things. We could try to talk peace with them. Oh, no, I forgot. They only understand violence. Forgot. They're not humans.
So despite
Got it. Sorry. Don't do that.
Hundreds now of sorties that the United States has flown, the missiles that we've fired at the Houthis in Yemen, they're still going.
So we have fired more missiles on the Yemenis. He said it, 30 a day? 30 a day. They fired 2 in one day that can't reach us. So they attack our ally Israel. But that's not fair. So our 30 a day, that's fine. Well, they're not human. I forgot, right? They're not really human beings. So I guess it's okay to bomb them. And he said, don't even give them water. Remember, he said, don't give them water. He said, don't give them water. Don't give them energy. Don't give them food. Give them nothing. That's fine. But don't send. Yeah, I guess it's fair. I guess they aren't human. So yeah. Peace. Thank you for the $5, my friend. A new season of Black Mirror got released, making me wonder, are we in a Black Mirror episode? That'd be kind of cool. Maybe then we can turn it off and this would not be true. The thing that drives me crazy is this guy's popular. Like tens of thousands of people watch him. And he's just basically, I'm thinking to myself, should I just become a neocon? It's just easier if I become that. People clearly want neocons. Maybe I should be one of them. I'll watch OAM or Newsmax, whatever. I'll watch it for like an hour. Maybe I'll watch like Hindustan Times or Epoch or one of those, right? They're like neocon sites, right? I'll watch a bunch of them. Whatever talking points they give me, I'll do my show. And I'll just go, hey, here's neocon stuff. And people will watch all day. And I'll just call people who aren't like me, non-humans, and yell about strength and that kind of stuff. And I should be fine. Maybe I'll do that. This guy's he has tons more views than me. He's doing something right. I don't know. Maybe that's it. Strength is essential to survival. Absolutely not true. Never forget this, guys. Strength is not effective. It is not survival of the strongest, Hirsch. It is survival of the fittest. And fitness may or may not be strength. It can be intellect. It can be the ability to bend. An example I will give you is palm trees. Palm trees are not physically strong. They don't stand strong. They bend. It is what is fit, not what is strong. Sometimes that is strength. Sometimes it's not. All depends. So, yes. Larry Limbaugh. Yeah, I'm going to say I'm Limbaugh's kid. I'm Larry Limbaugh. There we go. I'll make a ton of money. Should do that.
Hurt them somewhat. We might have degraded some of their capabilities.
That's it.
We've certainly taken out a lot of buildings, and we've even killed some of their leadership. But
yeah,
the 10 airstrikes that they did yesterday, added to the total, are not doing the job. So
10 airstrikes compared to 2 missiles.
There's I'm putting up over at chuckholton.com a graphic that shows the number of U.S. military cargo aircraft that have flown to bases in the Middle East over the last month. And it is substantial.
Okay.
This is the largest buildup of U.S. forces since the beginning of the war in Iraq.
Just what I wanted.
Hundreds of thousands of U.S. troops over to Iraq, and that coalition of the willing,
which failed,
started that 20-year war in Iraq.
20-year war. He's okay with this, right? Look, I'm going to go back to this. If I believed that the only way of survival was a 20-year war in Yemen, I don't believe that, but if I did believe that, I wouldn't be happy about it. I'd be trying to stop it.
So do I think that we're going to start another 20-year war here? Not necessarily.
He's okay with it.
I think that this is going to go on for years, without a doubt. But we'll beat them back into their holes enough to, say that we did something, and then we'll.
Do you hear what he's saying? This man's very popular. People listen to him and think that he's right and smart. He just said, we'll do it for several years, we'll beat them back into their holes, dehumanizing, and then saying just enough to say we did something. So we're virtue signaling. This is woke right. We'll say we did something. I don't want to say I did something, and then I got 7,000 dead Marines and soldiers and 20,000 wounded, which is what happened in Iraq. Remember that? That 20-year, 15-year war, however the hell long it was. That one. I don't want that. That's our answer? No.
Back off, and that'll give them time and space to, grow again and become more of a threat again. And then we'll cut the grass again. And
so he is okay cutting the grass. That's saying cutting the grass in his eyes is literally killing thousands of people, tens of thousands, if not. He's okay with bombing out water so that families starve. He's okay with that. He said it. His words, not mine. You read them. He put them in writing. He's okay with that. And going back again. And how many Americans have to die, have PTSD, have TBI, so that we can bring them home and ignore them, like we did the last 2 wars?
Unfortunately, that's kind of the modus operandi of the U.S. and Western powers anymore.
Yes, and we could stop it,
as
couldn't
I
we?
have said, the only way to decisively end it is to make them beg you, hurt so bad that they beg you to stop.
So his answer is, we're going to put more people here than we put in since the first Gulf War, whatever, since the second Gulf War, blah, blah. And that's not going to work. The real answer is bomb them more. Put more people in here. Total occupation. Now, again, let's say that's true. Maybe I'm totally wrong here. And the Houthis are the existential threat to us. They're going to destroy us. They don't even have a missile that can reach us. They don't have a missile that can reach us. But that's fine. They're going to, invade or whatever they're going to do. Whatever they're going to do. They're going to drop a bomb on one of our ships or something. Whatever it is, right? Great. They're going to do that. So we need to invade now. What do we need? How many troops do you need to control, 30 million, 20 million Houthis there in that area? 20 million Houthis? How are you gonna control 20 million Houthis? You can put 250,000 soldiers in there? 500,000 soldiers? Gonna occupy for 40 years like Germany? Hope you can turn their minds? Yeah, how'd that work in Afghanistan? The Brits tried it. Oh, didn't work. The Russians tried it. Oh, that didn't work either. We tried it. Didn't work. Why do we keep doing this? Shelley, oh my God, so good, Shelley. Shelley says, thank you for being a member, Shelley. Cutting the grass, as in killing people, is beyond offensive. Dead people can't beg. Well done, Shelley. Well done. Well done. But it doesn't matter because in his eyes, they're not human.
And they're nowhere close to that. So far, we've just given, we've continued the Biden administration's policy of just striking at them enough to say that we're doing something. We've ramped it up to a higher level than the Biden administration, but it's really more of the same.
Okay, I want to be clear for you guys who think that he may be right. We dropped more bombs on Vietnam than we dropped the entire war, Germany and Japan combined. Let me say it again. We dropped more bombs on Vietnam than we dropped on Germany and Japan combined. More. We lost Vietnam. We lost Vietnam. And almost 60,000 Americans dead because of Vietnam. 58,000, I think. Almost 60,000 dead because of Vietnam. Plus at least 2 million Vietnamese dead. People to this day are still losing limbs to mines and explosive devices that we had from 1972 are still blowing off limbs right now. That's still happening in Vietnam. Yeah. So what was the answer to Vietnam? I'll give you the answer. Walk away. That's the answer. Larry, then we're going to show weakness. Well, we did. We got our ass kicked in Vietnam. You saw the picture of us getting out of Vietnam with the helicopter, people running away. And what happened? 20 years later, they were our trading partner. Right now, they're negotiating with Trump probably today. Probably today they're negotiating with him. Right? We buy stuff from Vietnam all the time. The Chinese use them as a proxy to sell stuff to us all the time. They're our trading partner now. We're buddies with Vietnam now. What if you do? Just walk away. That's it. Larry, if we walk away, we lose. Yes, and that's what we did. We just walked away. Literally. We took our stuff and left. And what happened? Well, then everything went communist. No, that was a neocon lie. That was a neocon lie. Well, then the whole world becomes communist. Neocon lie. Domino effect. Neocon lie. That domino effect has been a lie since 1950, and it's still a lie. Please don't believe that neocon lie. If one goes, the rest will go. That never happened ever, not a thing, except when we screw up, like when we invaded Iraq and made Iraq an Iran proxy. That's not a domino effect. That's us being stupid. We made that happen. This stuff is all never has worked ever. Zero. It has never worked. And he's like, bomb them harder. When has that worked? We bombed Germany into oblivion. It was rubble. And they didn't surrender until we literally captured Berlin. The Russians had to literally capture every building in Berlin before they surrendered. And we bombed them more than we had bombed anybody. We dropped nukes on Japan. The first nuke, they still didn't surrender. They surrendered finally at the end. After when? When the Russians invaded. That's when they surrendered. When the Russians invaded. Not because we nuked them. That's a story that they tell us to make us feel better about our nuking. They surrendered when the Russians invaded. They're like, okay, they're coming across the border. The bombing didn't work even then. He's like, bomb them harder. Doesn't work. Hasn't worked. They the Germans terror bombed Rotterdam back in what? Like, I don't know, 1940, whatever it was. Didn't work then either. They didn't invade. Sorry. I know I'm getting a little triggered, but it's just so common.
And we need to maybe change our tactics to the point where we are, literally saturating the ground with bombs in Yemen.
Did you say?
Now, I'm not advocating for striking civilians purposely or anything like that. We don't have to do that. We can make it miserable for the Yemenis without killing the people, without bombing indiscriminately. We can take out their electricity. We can take out their water supply. We can take out things like that.
So let's just starve them to death.
Definitely going to make it much more miserable for the people. But
okay, when has that ever worked? I'm going to give you the example. Never. It doesn't work. They've been bombed before, lots of times. They've been short on water before, lots of times. Yes, lots of times. They're still fighting in Gaza. They have no water in Gaza. They're still fighting in Gaza. They're still fighting in Gaza. There's no water in Gaza. The Israelis took it out. Gone. There's no fresh water in Gaza anymore. Gone. And they're still fighting. They haven't stopped. The beatings will continue until morale improves. This guy. That's this guy.
If you don't make it more miserable for the people, they will never stop supporting the Houthis.
Then you could just leave the Houthis alone. You could just do that.
So they're all culpable at this point.
Oh, they're all culpable.
I keep saying.
This is a thing that's funny, is whenever it's the other, if their leadership was something wrong, they're all culpable. They're all culpable. So let me ask you, is it because they voted for it? That's what they say about the Gazans. Well, they voted for Hamas so we can kill all of them. Did the Houthis vote? Did the Yemenis vote for Houthis? They didn't. So how are they culpable? Oh, because they support them? Okay. What happens if they're going to kill them? Oh, yeah. You didn't figure that one out. How about our people? How about when we were bombing people? How about when we were bombing weddings? Was I culpable for that? Were you? Oh, it doesn't matter because those people aren't human. So it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Okay.
If you're going to be a nuisance to global shipping and to...
You need to die. He's going to say it. If you're going to be a nuisance to global shipping, don't talk, die.
To global civilization, really. And you can't have nice things.
Can't have nice things.
Those things have to be taken away from you, just like you do with your kids. I mean...
He openly calls other human beings children. Openly.
You know how those of you that have had teenagers,
I've had two of them.
Your sons, when they're little, they look at you like you're Superman, Dad.
True.
their dad is just a superhero. He's amazing.
My daughters would think that's true.
And then sometime about age 14 or so, they suddenly wake up one day and look at you and go, you know, Dad, I never noticed before, but you're a drooling moron.
No, that's
you're
what
an absolute idiot.
And no, that's what your
kids
did.
Then you have to deal with your son.
I didn't do that.
Kind of butting heads with you up until he's about 21 or 22, when he suddenly wakes up one day and then looks at you and says, "Gosh, Dad, you got a lot smarter since yesterday." And in the meantime, in that time where you're butting heads,
what do you gotta do? You gotta beat him.
Your son is, not towing the line in the house.
Not towing the line.
Our rule was, hey, if you don't do what you are responsible for doing in this house, then you don't get to have nice things.
You don't get to have nice things.
We'd start by taking away your phone. We'd start by taking.
So what we should do is go to the Yemeni, take the phone away, because they're our kids. Can you hear what he's saying? They're not doing what we want to take their phones away.
Your playtime. We'd start by taking away. We got to the point where we were contemplating taking the doors off their bedroom, or even taking the furniture out of their bedroom.
And you were going to take away the furniture from your kids. Am I the weirdo here? Maybe I'm the bad guy. Maybe I'm the bad dad. Maybe I'm the bad dad. Are you taking away? Is that normal? Maybe I'm okay. Maybe I'm wrong on it. Maybe my kids are weird. Maybe my kids are weird. Maybe my kids are weird. You got to take away their furniture? They got to sleep on the floor. They don't get to have a desk. They don't get a bed. What do you mean take away their furniture? If you beat them, you take away their phone, and they're still doing it, and you take away their door, and they're still doing it, and you take away their furniture, and they're still doing it. What? You know what that means? Your kids don't respect you. I don't mean to be mean, but it's true, isn't it? Am I wrong? If I'm wrong on this, so please tell me. Let me know I'm wrong on this. If you got to go down that road, you got to take away the furniture where you don't have a bed. You don't sleep on the floor now. Wow. Grace says, I never looked at my parents like they were drooling morons, and they would have killed me if I had. Yes, Grace, because you respect your parents. Yes. You don't base U.S. policy on this. Correct. Yes. Andrea says, as mad as my parents were mad at me, they never took my door or furniture. Yeah, I think it's crazy. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm so far, you tell me I'm not wrong. I feel like if you have to go that far, now look, unless your kid has a serious issue where they can't comprehend or something, maybe that's a thing to do. I don't know. I don't have that issue. So I don't want to speak to something that I don't really know in that regard. I just can't make it. I can't in my head make it true. It doesn't make any sense. Yes. Yeah. Just sounds crazy. Yeah. IC says, I literally just watched a YouTube short where the mom removed the teenager door because she was smoking leaves in her room. Okay. If your kid's smoking weed and you take off their door, did the kid stop smoking weed? No. The kid just won't smoke weed when you're home. I'm not making this up. Right? They just won't smoke weed when you're home. They'll smoke weed when you're not home. Or they'll smoke weed outside. So now what you've done is where they were safe smoking weed in the house, now they're going to go out and hang out with the bad kids and smoke weed there. That worked well, didn't it? That worked well. I don't get it. Yeah. Shelly says, it means that his parenting skills don't work. I wouldn't, if that were true, I would never come out and say that. This is a self-own. This is a terrible thing. He's explaining what a bad parent he is. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong on this one. I feel like I'm good. Grace says, no, you're not wrong. I would not have wanted this tool for a dad. Yeah, he thinks it's an own. It's a cell phone. I don't get it.
And taking their clothes away because we're the ones who
took their clothes away. So this guy went on the internet and told his tens of thousands of viewers, I took my son's clothes away. He was sleeping naked on the floor because I took his furniture away and he had no door. So I watched him lay there naked. That sounds really weird, my friend. Check that guy's hard drive. There's a problem. This guy's got a problem. Absolutely. Andrew's like, what? Their clothes? Yes. Mike says, nothing wrong with a strong parent. Yes, well-established rules and clear consequences. I agree. Mike, I'm not against being a strong parent at all. I'm not. But Mike, you know this. If he says, check that guy's out. You got that joke. Yes. Look, you can be a strong parent with strong rules in your household. I'm not against it at all. It's your household. 100%. My household, my rules. I'm okay with that. But your kids should respect you enough that you don't have to go this far. Consequences could be simpler things, not things like, I'm going to take away his clothes and keep his door open when he's sleeping naked on the floor. This guy just said that. If you got to go that far, Mike, with your kid, you're doing something wrong. That's what I'm telling you. You're doing something wrong.
Fighting you with all these nice things. And if you're not going to.
Nice things like clothes and furniture. Clothes and furniture are nice things and not necessities. These are nice things. And to him, water, again, his words. I'm not making this up. This guy went online and publicly says this to 10,000 people, that water and buildings are nice things. Not necessities, nice things.
Play ball with us, then you don't get to have those nice things.
You don't get to, you don't play ball with me. You don't get to have water. What's wrong with you? A house. Do what I say. You get to have some water. My kids are lucky to have clothes and furniture and a door. Thing is, sleep in the bed. Do your chores or sleep naked on the floor. Check that guy's hard drive.
So all I'm saying is that we kind of need to deal with the Houthis in the same way.
Because they're kids.
They're definitely a simple lot.
They're a simple lot. They're simple. This is literally, I'm not joking, this is literally slaver talk. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not saying just America. I mean, again, any slaves from any world, from any time period. They're a silly lot, a dumb lot. All they understand is violence.
Out. And they only.
When the left yells colonialism, they talk about this guy. Like when the left yells, everyone's a colonizer. They're talking about him.
Understand the projection of power. They're not going to understand dialogue. They're not going to engage in dialogue.
They don't understand that. You can't talk to these people. Why would you talk to them? Bomb them.
Dialogue. That's not who they are. So
I want to go to Liberty. If my Sicilian mother had to take the door off the hinges, she would just whoop my butt instead. Agreed. Agreed. Yes. Sometimes people need ass whipping. That's true. I'm not trying to be mean about that, but I think you're right. You might not deserve it, you might not, but sometimes that's true. Yes. If it came to that, I'd probably deserve the ass whipping. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Morgan says they don't know what a computer is. Nicely done. Yes. Nicely done. Yes. Absolutely. Nicely done. They don't know what a computer is. Yes. Just like, Kathy Hochul said that me and Mike don't know because we're from the Bronx, and black people from the Bronx don't know what computers are. So me and Mike, when we're on the computer, we have to have our white friends come over and set it up for us because we don't know how. But I didn't even know what one was. I'd have my white friend come over and show me what was going on. And then I told Mike I was going to help Mike do it, but I didn't know what a computer was. So I had to have Mike. I said, Mike, get your white friend. Help you out because we're from the Bronx. And my governor, Kathy Hochul, literally said, if you're a black person from the Bronx, you don't know what a computer is. Again, her words, not mine. Morgan, thank you for remembering that one. Yeah, this guy's that. Yes, absolutely.
Travis asks where the Houthis come from originally. They are a people group that has existed, desert dwellers out in.
That's an insult, desert dwellers. You know what he wants to say. Yep. Starting with sand. ending with a hard R. That's what he wants to say. Joel says, I'm picturing this guy in a nursing home his kids put him in. You better behave, Dad. You won't have nice things. Yeah, that's going to be bad. Absolutely. Yes.
In Yemen, in that area for centuries. But, it's a tribe that just got sideways with the Yemeni government and decided to take over.
Margaret says, are you effing kidding me? Catholic was that? She did. I did a whole show on it. Margaret, she literally said that. She goes, there's black kids in the Bronx who don't know what a computer is. That's what she said. Her words, it's on video. I bet if you went to YouTube right now and typed it in, you'd probably pick it up. It was that common. She actually said those words. Yes, she said that. That's true. Yeah. So Shelly says, thank you for being a member, Shelly. I grew up in a benevolent dictatorship where breaking rules made life less benevolent. Okay. It usually meant we had more farm chores. Okay. If someone took our door, furniture, and clothes, my dad would go to jail. Yes. As a parent, there are some basic things, right? Like you should give your kid clothes. If you don't want to give your kid clothes, you probably shouldn't have kids. I'm just saying, like clothes and water, like furniture, like you don't got to give them great furniture, but you should kind of give your kid a bed. I'm just saying, maybe I'm asking too much here. You should give your kid a bed and give him some water and clothes, right? You don't got to give him the best, but he should have something. Absolutely. Matt says, Larry, you got a white person on screen helping you with these shows. I do. Yeah. I bring my white friends over every show. I don't know what I'm doing. Yes. It's true. Kathy Hochul told me. It's true. Absolutely. Gene goes, and they can't swim. Thank you, Gene. Yes, correct. Again, this is probably going to make some people just want their heads explode, but it's true. She also said, Margaret, I'm not joking. She also said that she has this, one of her number one priorities, not joking again, one of her number one priorities was teaching black kids to swim. She said that last year at a State of the Union address. I'm dead serious. Did a show on that too. Black kids, teaching them to swim. That was one of her number one priorities. So I guess she's worried that if we finally for our computers, we'll put them in the water and ruin them. So she's got to teach how to swim so that when we have our computers, don't wreck the computers that they can give us. Eventually, we'll get both. Me and Mike are still waiting. We're still waiting. We'll get it eventually. She'll come by, help us out, give us a computer, teach us how to swim. Yes, that's it. There we go.
My friend's team started smoking. Yeah, well, if he starts smoking, he's not getting an allowance. He's not getting,
Great. Now he'll steal to get his cigarettes. Wonderful. Now he'll have to do other things with bad people to get cigarettes. That'll work. You taught him a lesson.
Look, you got to choose your battles with your kids, right?
No, you don't. Just don't give them food or whatever. No.
And you got to choose your battles with the Houthis as well. So I think that in this case, the buildup is more a message to Iran than it is a plan to saturate Yemen with airstrikes, unfortunately. I mean, again,
that's a bad thing. I thought you wanted that.
60 airstrikes over a weekend, 30 airstrikes a day in a country the size of Yemen. It's not near enough.
You got to bomb the hell out of them.
It has to be ubiquitous and pervasive and consistent.
Just don't stop bombing. Constant. Don't stop bombing.
If we make that bombing constant, where it just nonstop, the people of Sana'a are unable to sleep because their house is shaking nonstop from all the bombings.
Did you hear what he just said? He thinks that we should bomb so much that every person in the city of Sana'a can't sleep because there's so much bombing. That's what he just said. Yes. Morgan says, yes, saturate the ground is what he said. That's how much he wants to bomb. Is this guy getting paid by military industrial complex? Is like Halliburton writing him a check? That I can understand at least, right? At least if it said, look, by the way, this video brought to you by Halliburton. Then I'm like, okay, makes total sense. Okay, I got you. That's why you just getting paid. Okay. That would at least make sense. I would get that, right? Bomb. Got to keep getting people bombs. I get it. I can't believe this. He's like, we don't have to affect the civilians. He says, don't affect the civilians. Just bomb them so much they have no water, no power, can't sleep. But that's fine. Just torture the civilians and then they'll surrender.
And they don't have any electricity and they can't get food and they can't get fuel and they can't.
No food, no fuel, no water, can't sleep. Because to his words, they don't understand dialogue. His words, these people are desert dwellers and they don't understand dialogue. This guy gets tens of thousands of views. This guy is popular and he went public to say this, and that's all, and that's fine.
Can't get water. In very short order, they're going to capitulate.
Has happened never. My friend, my brilliant tactician that you are, my strategist that you are, can you please show me one example of that happening? Yeah, doesn't happen. It's not a thing. That's not a thing.
They look, you take away their water supply, they're not just going to sit there until they die of thirst.
What are you going
to
do?
They're going to get pretty thirsty and then they're going to capitulate.
That's what it is. Just this. Okay. Here's what actually happens. When there's no water left, they have to ration water. Who gets most of the water? The people in charge. So what actually happens? They hold on as long as they can. So who suffers? The poor, the women, the children. Yes. They literally die of dehydration. They literally die of starvation. The people who are in charge, they stay okay. And the people who are running this are people in other countries who aren't even living there, right? The wealthy guys in Iran or the wealthy guys in UAE or wherever they are, the wealthy guys in Dubai, wherever they are, Oman, I don't know where they are, but wherever they are, they're not there. They're going to be just fine. So then they'll capitulate. How? Well, they won't support the Houthis. Does it matter if they're already dead? Here's what we know. Here's what actually happens. When this happens, they look to find, they blame somebody, right? This is what happens. When they're starving or being dehydrated, they blame, when their children dies, they blame somebody. Who are they going to blame? Are there any Americans there to explain what's happening? They go watch your YouTube video. They can't. They got electricity, no power. They can't watch YouTube video. Who are they going to hear? The leaders who say, the reason why your child is dead, the reason why your husband or wife or cousin or brother is dead is because of Americans. That's what they're going to say. And that's what they're going to believe. Why? They can't, you said, they don't understand dialogue. We're not talking to them. So why would they think anything else? So what will you do? You will make more people hate you. Because now I watched my son, my daughter, my cousin, my whomever, my wife, my mom die because of American bombs. You think now I'm like, I love America. I'll get in line. I'm going to behave now. That's not how that works. Now they hate Americans for generations. How do I know that? Look at Gaza. Look at Afghanistan. Look at them there. But if you just walk away, that doesn't happen. Wait a minute. How did it happen? You made it up. No. Look at Vietnam. I keep bringing up Vietnam. We just walked away. And now they're our friends. Yes. Not our allies, but they're friends. We trade with them. They're not bombing us. They didn't come after us. Nothing happened. We just walked away. That's what happened. Garrett showing up with the memberships. Guys, thank you so much. Look, I know I'm yapping away a lot. I know I am. I get triggered sometimes, and I know I do. But it's because this stuff bothers me, because so many people watch this and believe it's the right answer. They think it's this guy's smart, he's savvy, he knows stuff. He doesn't. He's part of the problem. This guy's part of the problem. He makes neocons look worse than they actually are. Yes. You can see the way he's talking, how he's acting. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. But Garrett shows up. Thank you so much. Fills up the memberships. Guys, if you can grab a membership, please grab one. Appreciate it, Garrett. You, again, popped in on coming in on point. I really appreciate it. Not just that, guys. Click that button known as Lima India Kilo Echo. The more times you press that button, the more people will decide to, this will be shown to people and they can see it. Mr. Rhythm, you know that guy, Al Gore Rhythm. That guy, he loves when you click the button known as Lima India Kilo Echo. He loves it. please do that. If you have not shared this someplace, please do so. Put it into a Facebook page, put it into share it, repost it on X, whatever the case may be. If you have not followed me on Sharpe Way YouTube, on Facebook, X, and Rumble, why do you hate the children? I don't know why you hate them. They didn't do anything to you. Please do so. And also, if you can, subscribe to Sharpe Way YouTube. If you have not subscribed to Sharpe Way YouTube and onto Rumble, if you could, subscribe on both. I need it desperately. Again, I got to start growing. I got to match this guy one of these days. Maybe become a neocon. Maybe I'll become a neocon. Maybe I'll beat him then. I'm better looking than this guy. So maybe I'll become a neocon. I got a better background too. So maybe I'll do that. Become a neocon. Maybe it'll work. Please super chat me if you can. If you want to come to the front or rant me on Rumble, grab some memberships. Please do so. It is very, very helpful. I do want to go to, if I could, I'm going to head over to Instagram. And as I look at Instagram, I see Cody says, the worst my parents did was tell me how disappointed they were in me. That actually was devastating for a lot of people, right? For a lot of people, that's pretty devastating. For your parents to be, unhappy. Wow. Yes. He goes on to say, can't have clothes. Yes, absolutely. Someone tell him if he isn't a nicer person, he won't have nice things, like a relationship with his adult kids. True. Yes. Cody goes on to say, creating a black market in his own household. No wonder why bad things keep happening. Correct. That's what he's doing. Yes. I'm not going to do the last one, Cody. You're going to get me canceled. Cody says something else I want to say on YouTube. I'll get canceled. So yes, 100%. Yeah. So anyway, in any case, guys, thank you so much for following me on Rumble. I just found out that Liberty Lady tells me I just got 400 followers on Rumble. Thank you, guys. I'm trying to move forward. Rumble lets me say stuff. If I can do some more Rumble stuff, I can just say stuff. I can say words that you hear me not be able to say here. Rumble doesn't seem to care. But you know who does care? YouTube. Any case, let me keep going.
And that's really what if we really want to win this, that's what we're going to have to do.
Bomb them till they're dead.
Let's move on to the Gaza Strip. The IDF operations have been expanding the northern buffer zone in Gaza and the southern buffer zone in Rafah.
True.
They're expanding it more every day. This is the new objective. It's really an extension of the old objective.
Okay.
The objective since the beginning of the war have been destroy Hamas, get back the hostages, and safeguard the people of Israel.
Isn't that wrong? That's true.
Well, they've yet to destroy Hamas. They've yet to get back the hostages. But
wait a minute, I understand. Whoa. How can they have not destroyed Hamas? They've been bombing. They've been wiping. You just told me the bombing and no water and stuff is working. Is my camera working? Hold on. Yeah, there we go. No, the bombing. He said you told me the bombing is working. They've been bombing a lot, more than 30 times a day. That's for sure. They've been wrecking stuff. You told me. That's weird. How come you didn't destroy Hamas? That's weird, huh?
Published objective in Gaza. I've been saying this for a long time, and I know a lot of IDF who agree with me on this.
Okay.
The covert or unspoken objective in Gaza.
Unspoken objective. It's not spoken, so don't speak
it. Is to make sure that the Gazans understand what a bad idea it would be to attack Israel ever again.
See, you did teach you a lesson. That's the thing. So here's how this works. You attack Israel October 7th. We then go in and trash the entire joint, fight for over a year, kill tens of thousands of people, and you go, we're sorry, we'll never do it again. And we believe you. And that's a fantasy that I just made up. That will never happen ever. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. It's just not how that works. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. How in the world can you ever imagine that? The first part he said is true. The second part he made up. The actual first part is actually true, which is they're trying to trash Hamas. True. They're trying to create a buffer zone. True. They're trying to make it safe for Israel. True. These are the first part he said was actually real and true, and they are doing it now. Again, whether you like what Israel is doing or not, this is what they're doing. That's their actual goal. This next thing, he made it up. That's not a thing, right? How many times has Israel beaten back their enemies? 4 times now? 5? Somehow they still have enemies. Weird. How they never learn. Huh? Why would they ever? Why would they? Did the Afghanis learn? We beat them back for 20 years. Did they ever learn? Did they learn their lesson? Never. Never learned a lesson. We put them in Gitmo. Didn't learn a lesson at all. Weird how that happens. Doesn't work. Grace says, well, Larry, they hate our freedom. That's it. And our doors and beds and clothes. They hate it all. We should take away from our kids at random. All of them. Yes. No door. No clothes. No furniture. He said that. Again, the things I'm not making this up. You heard him say it. He said that proudly. Take my kids, everything away.
And the way that they're doing that is by making it hurt on purpose. Oh. They're saying we're making a 2-kilometer buffer zone over a mile all the way around Gaza, wherever.
Yeah, but that's not to make them hurt or whatever. No, that's their goal was the buffer zone.
Touches Israel and in Egypt. And we're flattening every building in that 1 mile zone. It's going to be a no man's land.
Yeah.
And Israel is going to take and keep it. And for every day that they don't get back their hostages, they're going to continue to take more ground and they're going to keep it. So
how could you get back your hostages? How could you? Well, how did they? It was a hostage swap. It was a prisoner swap. That's how it worked. Why? Let me ask this question. Why? No one seems to ask this question. I don't see people ask this question at all. Why do they take hostages? Why wouldn't they either just kill them? Option one, because according to you, they're just murderers who don't understand dialogue or whatever, right? Just kill them. Option one, right? Kill them. Or let them go. Walk away. They're not, combatants. So let them go. Option one. That's right. Either option. Let them go or kill them. According to him, they don't understand dialogue. So they should do one of those two things. Let them go or kill them. They don't. They take them hostage. Huh? Why? Uses human shields. No. They use hospitals. He said that. They use hospitals and civilians. He said that as human shields. They don't use the hostages. That's not what he said. He said hospitals. He said, right? And churches like that. Synagogues. That's what they use. They don't use hostages for that. They don't want the hostages to be dead. Why don't they want the hostages to die? They should want them to just kill them off. If they don't care about them, kill them off. They know no matter what, we blow them up anyway, right? Why? The entire reason why they take hostages, the whole reason is for prisoner exchange. That's the reason. That is the reason. Israel has thousands of Palestinian prisoners in their jails. They want their people back. They take the hostages to trade them back. How do I know that? That's what just happened. I didn't make that up. That just happened. That's always what they do. If you ever notice, it's never one Israeli for one Palestinian. It's one Israeli for like 100. Huh. Weird. How's there over 100? How's there so many Palestinians in the jails? Huh. When Israelis didn't even attack yet. They didn't even fight back yet. They still had thousands. Where'd that come from? Because they already put them in jail. They've been in jail for years. That's how it acts. That's why they do it. People don't say that. They're evil. They're taking hostages. Why? Why? They don't stop the fighting. They do it so they get their own people back. That's the reason why. Because there's no due process for these kids. So they just go away for years. That's true. And you can be like, oh, Israel's so wonderful. Israel does the same bullshit we do. When they want to do due process, they do. When they don't, they don't. Just like us. Just like us. When they decide to, they do. When they don't want to, they don't. Yep. There we go.
Their new message to Hamas is, for every day we don't get back our hostages, you will permanently lose more of Gaza. Gaza will get smaller.
The beatings will continue.
And smaller.
And they've been doing that for about a year. Has it worked? Oh, wait, no.
Smaller. So they already used to talk about Gaza was one of the most densely populated places on planet Earth. That really isn't true. Mm-hmm. There are many places in China and in Asia that are far more densely populated than Gaza was. But it's going to be even more densely populated in the areas where people are going to be allowed to live, because they are taking out entire neighborhoods and just
Mike says, Larry, you know he's omitting in Glasgow critical info. Of course. Yes. He is making conclusions that don't make sense by his logic. True. He counters himself constantly. He is not a neocon, but I see why some would say that. He is unclear. He's using neocon talking points. How about that? Maybe that's a better way of putting it. Maybe he's doing that. And my point is, Mike, when you and I have these conversations, you actually say things that make sense. You talk through things. This guy's more popular than both of us. And he's just pulling stuff out of thin air. He's just pulling stuff up. He's not even that talented in his communication. He literally contradicts himself during the same piece of paper he's writing on. You're doing something wrong, man. Me and you need to become we need to be whatever he is. What is it? Use neocon talking points to just yell at people and stuff, call people names. Maybe that's it. Maybe doing something wrong. There we go.
Destroying them. Not to mention the fact that in the areas that they will allow Palestinians to move back into eventually, if they find any kind of military utility in any building, whether that's storing weapons, it's a tunnel entrance, there's a fighting position, there's booby traps, anything like that, they're just flattening that building. And
yes, but just say what they're trying to do, right? Look, literally, you guys who've been watching me, I've been saying this for a year already. Israel's goal isn't to teach Hamas a lesson. That's not a thing. That's stuff he just made up. That's not true. They're trying to create a buffer zone. To be forward, so is Putin. Just being forward, so you can be mad at what I said, but they're trying to create a buffer zone. That's their goal. And it's working. They're doing it. All I'm saying is just say it. Just say it. Make it a buffer zone. Just say it. America will back you. Just go, we need a buffer zone. It needs to be this far. Get out or we'll just bomb you. Get out or we'll bomb you. I would respect that more. At least I get it. We all get it. Get out, we'll bomb you. This is a buffer zone. It's going to be X miles or meters or whatever they need. I don't know what they need, whatever. X kilometers. Get out or we're bombing you. This would be easy.
That would apply to just about every building in Gaza. And that's why they say that
every
92% of the housing in northern Gaza, at least, has been damaged or destroyed.
92%. You don't get houses. And what he said was nice things. You want to have a place to lay your head that's not out and open? You want to sleep without getting rained on? You don't get nice things.
If you're going to attack your neighbors, you don't get to have nice things.
See that? You just said it.
Works.
That's how it works. You don't get you don't get a house. What's the nice things? You go water. Think you are. Yeah, water.
So they're expanding that buffer zone. They hit more than 90 Hamas targets over the weekend, so that's a lot. I mean, that's a greater operational tempo than they have had in quite some time.
Morgan says, similar to the border between North and South Korea. Yes. Yes. I mentioned this last year, right? This is Israel's goal, to create a massive buffer zone, right? They're not trying to convince Hamas to not do it again. They'll make a buffer zone at DMZ so that if they try it again, that they can see him coming a mile away, right? That's the goal. Again, you may disagree with what Israel is doing. I'm not making a judgment on right or wrong. I'm getting it. I see what their goal is. Create a buffer zone. This kind of attack, if it happens, they'll see it a mile away because they have to literally cross the DMZ. Correct. That is the goal. They create a DMZ that has military units on the DMZ, so that if they try it again, they have to go through the military units to make this happen. That's exactly what it is. Yes.
Really ever. It's probably the most intense and the largest number of troops and attacks or operations that the IDF is conducting right now in Gaza
I'm
than
blown
at
away
any other time in the war. They have made targeted
He's
strikes.
Just got to be listening to people who already know, believe him.
Police commander took him out. Hamas command center in the last remaining functional hospital in Gaza, according to the AP, which is not.
They took out the last
I don't know
functioning
how,
hospital.
You got to be very careful about those sources. AP is totally in the tank for Hamas. But
been saying that forever.
They did strike a hospital in Gaza, and they're getting a lot.
No, he said they took out the last hospital.
A lot of flack for that in the mainstream media.
got a lot of flack for taking out the last hospital they had in northern Gaza. Why are we mad about that?
What the mainstream media isn't saying is
What did
that
say? Tell me.
Hamas was using that hospital as a command center.
See that? Well, then what are you hostages for?
Plenty of proof.
Plenty of proof.
And Israel has shown it. And not only that, but nobody was killed when they hit.
I remember that last time they did that other one where Israel showed that proof that wasn't really a proof.
That hospital, because Israel alerted them ahead of time, we're going to wreck that hospital. You guys better get out. And they did. Everybody left. And then they blew up the hospital.
And command post gone, and there's no more command posts. Okay.
Look, they have to go after the enemy where the enemy is.
It
doesn't do any good to go after the enemy where he isn't. And if the enemy is hiding among the civilian population,
kill the civilians.
Then you bomb the enemy where he is. And if the civilian population gets killed or wounded, that is the fault of Hamas.
See that? That's it. See. So when they did 9/11, that was fine. That's what you're saying. We deserved it. That's what you're saying. That's what you just said. That's what you just said. When the Marines got killed in Beirut, 200 some odd of them, they deserved that. That was them. It's fine. All good. No worries on that one. 93 bombing. All good. Totally fine. They die. Who cares? Now, I want to be clear on this. I am not going to sit here and act like you civilians aren't going to die in war. Of course they are. It's terrible. But you shouldn't be so flippant and happy about it. And he is. He just dehumanizes them. They don't matter. Do I think that in a war, the Gaza war, civilians are going to die? Of course they are. But I'm not happy. I'm like, we should try not to. It's not a good thing. It's terrible that's happening. He's like, whatever, they're animals anyway. Who cares? That's him.
Israel goes a step further than the United States goes in situations like that.
Yeah, we just bomb weddings.
By alerting people and warning them to get out of the way. When the United States went into Ramadi, for example, in Iraq, we didn't do that. We told everybody, look, you got 24 hours to get out of the entire city. And anybody that's left in the city,
Fallujah, we weren't that bad.
Considered a combatant.
Yeah, we were better with
a lot of people.
We were better
at
Fallujah. Yeah,
and the United States went in and just started dealing in there.
See, we just were dealing. It's fine.
The IDF also took out a sniper cell commander in Deir al-Balah at the municipal building. So they hit Rafah's Tel Sultan neighborhood and are expanding the buffer zone there. They blew up two.
Just
UNRWA
say the buffer zone, man. City. Just say it.
The crazy thing is, I mean, these UNRWA schools,
just say
civilians go there to take shelter. Then Hamas comes in and starts planning military operations or whatever. Israel's got eyes on these things. They know now to watch the schools, watch the mosques, watch the hospitals.
So look, this is the problem that you're not getting. What no one seems to be getting here. If your goal actually is to create a buffer zone, and it is, what Israel lost immediately was the PR war. Now, again, you may think Israel's doing fine or not. Doesn't matter. You have to be honest with yourself if you're supporting Israel. They lost the PR war. That's the issue. They had, right after October 7th, they had the whole world, not the whole world, but most of the world was like, holy cow, I get it. Like we had 9/11. Same day, 9/11, the world was like, got it, do what you got to do, got it. But then they lost the PR war. Because they were so righteous, just as we were. Like we did the same thing. The same thing. After 9/11, we just went too far and lost the PR war. The same thing Israel did too. And they should have been like, look, now what we're going to do is create this buffer zone. This is what we're doing so this never happens again, and just set it up front and just drawn out. They should have just drawn like a red line. I'm not even joking, on a map and said, this is not a buffer zone. We're flattening it and making it a DMZ. You can get out or not. You have to warn them. What we did good, what we did well in Afghanistan, which is why so many people actually supported us in Afghanistan, is, for those who don't know, we actually asked the Taliban to give us Osama bin Laden. We knew they weren't, but we did. We publicly said, here is the thing, give us him, and we will not invade. Israel never said, and again, I know they would not have done it, but the world needed to hear it. Israel should have said, we don't want to invade. Give us these, whatever, 25, whatever's the number. I don't know how many guys there are, whatever. 20 some odd guys or whatever the number of leadership of Hamas, and we won't invade. They wouldn't have done it. We know this, but the world had to hear that. Israel didn't say that. Israel invaded first, talk later. Israel should have then said, now we're invading, we're doing this. And that's it. That's what here's our red line. Didn't do that either. So now people don't know what they're doing. People just think they're just being cruel. They lost the PR war. They should have had a better PR consultant because theirs failed miserably. So anyway, Grace says, don't get triggered, Larry. My husband, after his first deployment, was devastated by what he saw in Iraq. He was never the same. After Iraq, the loss of infrastructure was devastating. Yeah, I know a lot of people who have come back, and one of the things that actually makes them better, less bad, maybe it's better, Grace, is when I talk to them with no judgment. And this may sound weird. You would think that you would want to, when you talk to someone like that, you'd want to be very empathetic, holding them, being very empathetic about it, saying, I'm so sorry, that kind of stuff. What actually makes it feel better sometimes is just talking about it like it was a story. That kind of helps them get through the PTSD a little bit better. We're taking the emotion out of it. So I would sometimes ask, when I was sitting with these guys, ask details. And then what happened? Okay. And then that guy, okay. And that's when that guy happened. Oh, okay. And then why'd you go in there? Why'd you decide that? How'd you feel after that? Oh, okay. Got it. Like just very nonchalant conversation. And many of them want to come back to me after that and like talk again about it. And that seems weird, but I get triggered here, but with them, I'm never triggered. I am calm and okay and matter of fact. I may get triggered after, but never with them. With them, I'm not triggered at all. So yeah, I know a lot of guys. I know a lot of guys who went to Fallujah. So that's just where most of them that I know of Fallujah guys. So anyway.
And so Israel's watching all of those places very carefully. And sure enough, there's Hamas going in and out with weapons. And so they alert everybody and they blow up that building. So just keep in mind that by doing this, the IDF is choosing not to degrade the enemy so much as to take, as to deny them territory. Okay. They could, if they see a bunch of Hamas fighters go into that hospital, they could flatten the hospital and kill all those fighters and take them off the table completely. But because of the moral component, Israel prefers, I don't know if prefers is the right word, chooses to alert the people in the hospital to leave, in which
I'm going to zip by a little bit on this one.
That's fine, whatever. All right, so 5 rockets were fired out of Gaza over the weekend.
5.
Toward Israel.
Okay.
There were no...
Wait a minute, it's not possible.
Damages or no injuries.
I thought the bombing campaign was working.
That.
Damn, it's not working, is it?
But then immediately the IDF issued evacuation warnings for Han Yunis and Nuseirat, and then bombed those two places.
This guy said moral component.
Hamas also released a new propaganda video of U.S.-Israeli hostage Aidan Alexander.
Propaganda video?
Now that they've already put him in a video before.
Okay.
And this is just psychological warfare.
That's what it is.
Trying to...
But bombing so that people
increase
can't sleep.
The pressure on the Israeli government to negotiate a peace deal.
How dare they?
Now,
wait a minute, but they don't understand
the Israeli government has...
It's not possible.
...been talking with the mediators, not directly with Hamas, about...
I'm going to move past this.
That's not all of them, And just think about that. A raid along that very short border. I mean, you can drive the border of Israel and Lebanon in an hour, right along the border.
Look, I want to be very clear. I get what Israel. I told you guys years ago. I told you he was going to invade Syria. Remember, I said they're going to invade Syria, and they did. I knew they would because the goal was a buffer zone. As soon as Syria began to fall, I said they will invade Syria. Right? As soon as they can get into Lebanon, they'll get into Lebanon. I told you they invade Lebanon. The goal is a buffer zone. It has been. I wish it just said it. Draw a red line. Here's buffer zone. Get out. We're bombing. Would have been way better than what they're doing now. I mean, people still would have hated it, but still way better than what they're doing now. So, yes. This is Life asks, Larry, military men in uniform are staying at the same hotel. Is there any way to politely enlighten them through dialogue that they are being misled and get their perspective, or better to be quiet? I would not try to let them know that they're being misled. And there's several reasons why. The first one is, if they're younger, they're probably not going to buy it anyway because they just had a boot camp. And when I was at a boot camp, I believed anything that my leader said. Anything. So there was no way I could have been dissuaded if they're younger, for sure. If they're older, they've already been through some stuff. They probably already have an idea. But if you want to just chat with them, getting their perspective, that is a very good idea. They'll probably enjoy it, right? Getting their perspective, getting your perspective, having a conversation, that's a good thing. I remember, and I say this often, yeah, Michael's on. Yes. You would not like my response if you told me I was misled when I was active. Correct. I'm with Mike. Exactly. I would not have. No. I'll tell you what actually turned me and began to turn me. It was during the first Gulf War. I was in Virginia at the time. I was a platoon sergeant at the time. I was a platoon sergeant at a training facility. And, excuse me. And I was out in town, and I was getting like a sandwich or something. I forgot. I was talking to some people out in town. It was civilians. And one of the civilians says, we got to go get that Saddam Hussein guy. That guy's Hitler. And I was like, that guy's not Hitler. I mean, look, if Bush told me, Reagan was my first commander in chief. If Reagan told me to go kill people, I would have done so. If Bush told me to go kill people, I would have done so. I was a young, motivated Marine. To Mike's point, I did not believe I was misled at all. I was doing the right thing. I was righteous. I would have believed everything, hands down. When that guy said that, I began to think, wait a minute, that guy's not, why is everybody Hitler? What? That's not Hitler. And this is some civilian. This is some guy in a sandwich shop or something, right? And I'm like, man, this is like propaganda or something. Wait a minute. Am I being propagandized? That was I still remember that. It was a sandwich shop. And that was the time when I started thinking, that's what I'm thinking. That I didn't turn then, but that was the first crack, if that makes any sense. Right? That was the crack. She goes on to ask, is it okay to initiate a conversation with them without them raising suspicion or report me for getting their opinion on sensitive matters like this? As long as you are not asking for any information. This is a critical piece. No information. If you ask for any information, you are putting them in jeopardy. I'm not joking. Do not ask for any information. You can ask for, hey, how do you feel about? What do you think about? Totally fine. All good. If you ask for any information, you are putting them in jeopardy. What I mean by that, they have to decide if they want to report you or not. I'm not joking. Ask Mike. Mike knows. Mike knows. Do not ask them for any information. Ask them for opinions only. That's it. And you're totally fine if you want to. All good. Dave was going to say, Larry, the goal is also for, yes, greater Israel. Gross in Israel by the more extreme Israel. That's true. Some do want that. That's accurate. Yes. I don't think that is the overall mission of the military. I don't believe that to be true. But yes, there are a group of Israelis who do think that. That's true. Yes. I think it is true. Some do want that. Yes.
Couple of hundred Hezbollah military outposts that were built all along there. Now, actually, it was more than a couple hundred. It was hundreds. But Hezbollah is in the process of transferring some of those over to the Lebanese army. I don't know that makes much of a difference, honestly.
I think it does. I think he's playing down this, right? Hezbollah got hammered in this last war, and then losing Syria is a big deal. That's why they're giving into stuff up. They're like, let's just give it up. It's done. They got hammered, right? This is just, it's whether you're happy with what Israel's doing or not, this is just true. It has been, they've been hammered. They still exist. Hezbollah exists, but it is just, it's nowhere near what it was. I mean, it's literally like a shell of what it was. It's nowhere near what it was. It will take them, if they do decide to rebuild, hopefully they won't. I hope they won't. But if they do, it will take them multiple years to rebuild. I mean, maybe decades. There was a lot of damage. A lot of damage, so I'm saying. A lot of damage.
You know, perhaps. Thank you, Peter. That's nice of you. The IDF has continued to strike Hezbollah targets. And I think that's the reason why Hezbollah is announcing that they're transferring 190 of these places over to the Lebanese army.
They got hammered.
Stop Israel from bombing them.
Yes.
Right? They're like, man, we're losing all of these bunkers and fighting positions and tunnels and fighting complexes and stuff.
And they can't hold them.
We've spent years painstakingly building on the northern border, and Israel keeps finding them and blowing them up. So we're just going to turn them over to the Lebanese army for the time being, and then the Lebanese army, then Israel won't be able to bomb them anymore, and we'll go take them back once we've licked our wounds and gotten.
That's not true. Hamas, look, can Hezbollah rebuild? Of course, anybody can rebuild. It's not next week. I mean, anyone who's checking out, it will take time. It's not 5 minutes. It's not 5 minutes. John says Hezbollah rebuild depends 100% on how much money Iran has to give them. Correct. And right now, Iran's not in a great spot and probably doesn't want to give much right now, right? Because they want to try to make a deal with Americans. So they don't want to give a lot right now. So I don't, of course, anybody can rebuild, of course. But this is a big deal for them. Case John says, just reading Holton's bio, very religious, CBN, focus on the family, etc. Hosts a weekly men's gathering titled The Arms Room. So just another manly warmonger who loves Jesus. I'm so surprised. That's funny. That's funny.
Our strength back. Mama Marissa asks, Chuck, is the Lebanon army at war with Hezbollah too, or are they working together? No, they're not at war with Hezbollah. They're
not. I'm
under the ceasefire agreement with.
See if I can move past this.
Help you figure that out. And yet the leaders of these countries.
Oh, hold on. What are you saying?
If Hamas is using a hospital as a command center for planning combat operations against Israel, that makes that hospital a legitimate military target under international law.
Because you care about that.
You don't have to be a military expert to. Evil will look good and good will look evil.
Oh, hold on. What's he saying?
You know, I've said this many times before, but
tell me.
They're not stupid.
They're not.
And I don't even think they're being disingenuous. I think they truly believe what they're saying.
Okay, didn't you just say they don't respond to dialogue?
And so for them to be so morally wrong, and so sure of their being right.
Hold on. Did you say someone else is so morally wrong, but so sure they're right? Is someone looking in the mirror right now?
What that says to me is that they are morally depraved.
Oh,
you know, the Bible talks about that when you deny God, that he will give you over to a depraved mind to do what ought not be done. And evil will look good and good will look evil.
Yes, it will, won't it? Like bombing hospitals and civilians. Yeah. Like making people not have water. Evil will look good. Like taking food and clothes and furniture from your kid. I didn't say food. I'm sorry. Clothes, furniture, and a door from your kid. Evil will look good, won't it? Kettle, meat pot.
At that point. And so when I see the leaders of these Western countries making statements in support of evil and against Israel as they're trying to defend their country. It just kind of boggles my mind.
Yeah, but see, there's the problem with guys like you. You don't care about Israel because you care about Israel. You don't care about Jews. I don't mean to be mean, but come on. He don't care about Jews. He doesn't. Right? This guy, he doesn't. Some people do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everyone. He doesn't. He doesn't. He's just waiting for Jesus to come back, and he likes smashing brown people. That's kind of true. Right? I don't mean to be mean, but I think it's clear, isn't it? He said they don't understand dialogue and they're evil. They're against God. That's what he just said. I didn't say that. He did. I think he's kind of showing his hand.
These are people in very high positions of power, and they are so corrupted morally.
See, they're all corrupted morally. Joel, Sam people, except he doesn't want to use the word people, but correct.
That they can't see good from evil with clear eyes. Now,
yes, it's true.
I
mean, taking people's water away and bombing them so much they can't sleep, the children, the families, I think that'd be perfect. Yes,
I'll get over in a minute to talk about the negotiations between Russia and Ukraine.
Oh, he don't like that
the
either.
United States is sort of overseeing with Steve Witkoff. And the really kind of despicable things that President Trump has been saying about what's happening over there.
Trump is messing up. He's not. So, he's messing up too.
This goes both ways.
Like Trump.
Our leaders can be can speak out. And do I think President Trump is depraved? No, I don't think he's depraved.
Oh, see, you kind of do. You kind of do. Come on, you kind of do.
But I think he has a very poor understanding of the situation in Ukraine.
See that? He knows more about Ukraine than Trump does. Glad you do. Good. Enlighten us.
And unfortunately, so does Steve Witkoff. Now,
why do you attack Witkoff? This I'm not going to get too triggered, but I'm going to get a little triggered. Little triggered. Witkoff is one of the best negotiators that America's had in years. I'm not joking. He's one of the best. He's up there. He's one of the best. The guy actually listens and talks to people. He doesn't show up and stop pointing. Yes, absolutely. He's one of the best. America's the best. It's good what he does. And these guys taking a dump on him? Why? Because he isn't righteous enough. This guy's all about righteousness, not about effectiveness. Matt says, how are some people who love Jesus love blowing people up all the time? I'm pretty sure Jesus wasn't saying blow up thy neighbor. True story. When I joined the Marine Corps in 1985, when you go into I'm telling you how old I am. When you go into the boot camp back then, and Mike, you went in the same time as I did. They used to give you, when you went to boot camp, they'd give you a Bible. I'm not joking. New Testament, and it was a camouflage Bible. I'm not joking. I read the entire Bible in boot camp. I did. That's a true story. That's all I had to read. I read the entire Bible, cover to cover, when I was in boot camp. And I don't remember the whole thing, obviously, but I don't remember one time Jesus saying, blow up thy neighbor. Not once. I did go through the entire thing. Red letters and all. I don't remember once him saying that. I don't remember blow up thy neighbor came out of that man's mouth once. I don't remember. I mean, I could have missed it, Matt. If you can show me the scriptures, I'm happy to do that. So, yes, there we go.
Steve Witkoff, think about this right now. Steve Witkoff is doing hostage negotiations between Gaza and Israel, peace negotiations there. He's doing peace negotiations between Ukraine and Russia.
Yes.
Peace negotiations between the United States and Iran.
Yes.
And look, I don't care if he's the smartest guy on planet Earth.
You should.
That's too much for one guy to be in charge of.
Nope.
There's no way he's going to be able to keep all those things straight. And it may simply be because he is not properly facilitated to actually make deals, but
not true at all. He speaks for Trump. Trump and him are friends. He's made this up. He just made this up. Grace says, I have my husband's Academy Bible. Yes, I wasn't making it up. That's a real thing. For those of you who think that's joking, that's a real thing. Thank you, Grace. Thank you for backing me up. I've lost mine. I don't have mine. I wish I still had mine, but I have lost mine.
What I have seen from him is he goes into these negotiations.
Yes.
Immediately offering concessions to.
Yes. Because he understands them.
Aggressing party.
Yes.
Before even making it. So this is what I don't get. Like, how does this foreign policy work? Like, we're going to.
Well, your foreign policy would be, do as I say, I'm going to take your door. That will be your foreign policy. Do as I say, or I'm going to take away your clothes. This guy's got them clothes. Do as I say, or I'm taking away your furniture. This is how this guy, do as I say, or I'm going to bomb your children until they can't drink any water. Do what I say, or I will bomb people until they can't sleep. That's his. Or you could know what they want already and make a deal. That's kind of what he's saying.
Make these
I like him.
Bold and inflammatory statements bashing our allies in Europe and our allies in Latin America and elsewhere around the world.
See, he cares about virtue signaling. This is one thing I'm going to give Trump, and I give it to him in the past. I have. Trump will change his mind or change his rhetoric in 5 seconds. Why? He wants to make a deal. And so if you're not dealing with him, he may insult you. You want to start dealing? He'll call you a great guy. He doesn't care. He's transactional. And I want that here. I don't always want that. But in this case, I do. I want a deal to be made so people don't die. In that case, be transactional.
But we are going to go hat in hand to some of the biggest monsters on planet Earth, guys like Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
And say, before you say anything, before, we tell you what we want, here's what we're willing to give you anyway.
Okay, it's not anyway. It is, here's what we're willing to give you, because right now, what he knows and what this guy doesn't want to accept is that right now, Putin has all the cards. He does. He's currently winning the war. He has made a rift between America and Ukraine. Europe is in trouble. There's a rift between Europe and America. And he also knows that part of what America is trying to do and has been trying to do, Biden wasn't really doing it. I do think that Obama wanted to do it. He wasn't good at it, but he wanted to. I think Trump does want to do it also. And Trump was not effective his first term. He's much better this term, is breaking up the alliance between China and Russia. I do think Obama wanted that. He just did not do it well at all. Biden didn't even care about it. Biden didn't care. Biden was not on his radar whatsoever. Trump was ineffective his first term. He's trying it now, right? He's trying to do it right now. So that's the most important piece. And again, Trump is transactional. So if he's got to kiss Putin's butt to break this up, he will do it.
That does not project strength from the United States, and it makes us look weak. It puts us in a weak position.
No, that's reality. Do guys like him honestly think that, like, a guy like Putin or whomever doesn't know what the actual position is? Do you think Trump doesn't know what the actual position is? Why do you think Trump was so shocked with Zelensky? Because to Trump, it was obvious who had the cards. It wasn't Zelensky. But Zelensky was so accustomed to his virtue signaling being enough. It's enough to virtue signal. This guy's virtue signal. This is woke right. He thinks it's enough to virtue signal. There's a reality on the ground right now. And whether you like it or not, and I'm not happy Russians are winning, but they are. That's a fact. I cannot like it. You can be mad at it if you want to. Currently, they are winning. Currently, America and Europe are at odds. Currently, America wants to try to break the relationship between Russia and China. That's where you are right now. You can be mad at it if you want to. And if he said, I don't like it, okay. He's acting like, well, because I don't like it, I'm going to yell at it. You can yell at it all day. It doesn't work. It's like you and your kids. You can yell at them all day. They still hate you.
It is definitely not the art of the deal. I don't know what you call it, but
it literally is. You don't know. You don't know what that is.
So
it's literally
Macron from France is another one of those guys that is, out there trying to insert himself into all of these conflicts, and
because he knows how to deal. He is literally art of the deal. Shelley says The Bible says that if a man needs a shirt, give him yours and your jacket too. This guy wants naked children. One of these things, not the other. True. Absolutely true. Yes. Grace goes on to say, if more deals means markets, more markets and less bombs, then I'm in. Me too. Just make a deal, right? Make a deal. Roy says, why is Israel being blamed for not supplying Hamas with what they need to fight their war against Israel? I think I explained this, Roy, and you may not like it, but I'm being very full with you. Israel lost the PR war last year. They lost the PR war last year, and when you're going to fight a war like this, you need to have PR. And they lost that war last year, and they haven't gotten it back. It's just true. Again, you can be mad at it. I get it. You know it's true. They lost it. That war is lost, and they are now paying the price for that. That's the reality.
Try to be the peacemaker, but he just does it backwards. He's, calling for a Palestinian state, albeit Hamas free. So kudos for that. But he's calling for nuclear talks. For talks with Hamas to be held in June.
What's wrong with talk to Hamas?
Peace conference in June. So we'll see what happens there.
Matt says, this is the kind of guy I lumped all Republicans as acting. Yeah, there is some of that. I agree with there's some of that. But no soundbites allowed showed me there's reasonable, intelligent Republicans. There are. And again, I say this all the time, right? A lot of people who vote left or right, the majority of them aren't guys like him either way. The majority aren't woke left or woke right. Some are. You're going to find them. But most aren't. Most people who vote that way or who think that way aren't even as detailed as him. Don't know this. They lean left, they lean right, so they tend to go down that road. Most people do. But then there's people who actually pay attention. If you pay attention, you can have a conversation. You guys have seen me and Mike have a conversation. We have a conversation, right? This guy is just like, I'm right. Take away the doors. I'm so, yeah. Morgan says, how does one become a peacemaker by dropping bombs? You just drop more of them, Morgan. That's how that works. The more bombs you drop, the more peace you get. That's how that works. You just drop more bombs. We don't have the peace. You have enough bombs. We don't have the peace yet. When you just keep dropping bombs, and you'll get peace. That's how that works, Morgan. You should know this by now. Come on. You've been watching this guy for like an hour. You should know this by now. Yeah.
As far as the Iran nuclear talks go, the United States is holding direct nuclear talks now in Oman with
This is not
Iran.
a bad idea either. This is a good idea.
This is something that President Trump wanted to see. The Iranians said, we will not hold direct talks. We will only hold indirect talks with the United States.
And what actually happened is, if you guys don't know, they were in the same building, but different rooms. And people went back and forth, talking back and forth to each other through intermediaries. That was what they wanted. Now, guys like him are mad at that because guys like him say, no communication unless X, Y, or Z. And I'm the opposite. If this will get them talking, let's talk. I'm with Grace. If more deals means more markets and less bombs, I'm in. If you got to do your thing where you walk back and forth, I don't care. Yep, do that. Fine. I don't care. I'm not worried about virtue signaling. I'm worried about making a deal. And this is why I like Witkoff. Witkoff is taking a lot of flack. AIPAC does not like this guy. I mean, he's a lot. Luckily, he's independently wealthy, so they can't bribe him in that regard with cash. At least there's other ways, I'm sure, but without cash, he's not. He's unbribable with cash. He's unbribable for that. He's very loyal to Trump. He knows Trump and loves Trump, and Trump has given him carte blanche to do a lot of stuff. Trump gave him a lot of power, and people know that. This guy saying he's not authorized, that's 100% not true. Witkoff speaks for Trump. Trump has given him a lot of power and carte blanche. This guy's wrong. Witkoff absolutely can make deals. He absolutely can. He said it more than once. He speaks for the president. The president has given him his authority to do so. He's a special person for the president. So yes, Witkoff can do this. It's absolutely true. So yeah, and good. He doesn't care about whatever. He just wants to fix it. So I'm in. Let's do this.
They went and had talks in Oman that were partially indirect and partially direct.
Yep.
I don't know about partially direct. They had a photo op where Steve Witkoff and the Iranian delegation shook hands.
Well, the other issue is, right, Trump has said one thing. Trump has either changed his mind on this or whatever, But Trump has said very clearly, Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb. He's been very forward on that. That's his thing. That's like his only thing now. Like, he's like, we're good. Like, Syria's fallen. Hezbollah's beat up. Hamas is trashed. Don't get a nuke and we're good. That's what he's done. Now, a lot of people don't like that, and he doesn't either. He wants to still hammer Iran. He's like, still hammer them. Stop them completely. Israel wants to hammer Iran. Want to hammer Iran. Saudi wants to hammer Iran. Trump's like, no. They're already beat up. No nuke, and let's be friends. And I'm like, I'm good. I'm good with that. Let's do that. I'm okay with this. Like, I'm like, okay, let's do this.
And that was about as far as the direct negotiations went. All the rest of the negotiations were indirect. Who won that first round of negotiations between the United States and Iran?
We did.
I think pretty much everybody says Iran did, because
no, we did.
Steve Witkoff. Okay, so they showed up saying, President Trump's been saying, all of his advisors have been saying, Iran has to completely give up its nuclear program and stop supporting its proxies around the world.
Trump did not say that.
And give up its missile program, right?
That's not what Trump said.
That was the red line from President Trump.
No, it wasn't. That's literally
not
true.
You got 2 months to come to the table and make an agreement on how to completely dismantle your nuclear program. 100%.
Nuclear program? Yep.
They call it the Libya.
Can you believe they called it the Libya plan? Does anybody remember what happened to Libya when Gaddafi did that? Yeah. He was like beaten to death or something on camera. Like, terrible. Yes. Yeah. Libya is still a terrible place because of it. Yeah, that's the wrong plan to say it. No.
Plan, because that's what Libya did, was completely give up their nuclear program.
Yes.
And anything less than that will be unacceptable. That was how it started.
Yes.
When Steve Witkoff showed up, he walked in and immediately started talking about, well, we just want you to get rid of your, or to agree not to enrich your uranium.
Yes, that's what Trump said. That isn't. Now, Trump from 2015, 2016, 2018 was different. That's true. Yes, that's true. Trump now is not saying that. The world's a different place. Iran, again, for those of you who aren't paying attention, Iran's not in a great spot right now. When it comes to the cards, he keeps talking about cards. Iran's got a couple cards, but they're not great. They still got some, but they're not great cards. Just being forward. They know it. They don't got great cards, and they know they don't have great cards. So now Trump has an option. One of the reasons why Trump is not showing up, and this is a savvy thing that he's done. I'm gonna give him credit for this too. He's sending off Witkoff because then Trump doesn't have to look bad. Trump went out and deals with Putin personally because he has to. If he could send Witkoff, he would. He sent Witkoff in the past. But when Trump goes there, he doesn't look good. Because to make Putin feel good, sometimes you got to look not so good. He did this, by the way, also, and this is a savvy thing Trump did. He did this also with J.D. Vance. Remember back during the campaign when they were trying to figure out how to handle a switch from Biden to Harris during the campaign, they threw J.D. Vance out there. Remember, he was getting his ass kicked all day long, and he took it. J.D. Vance took it. He was out there getting hammered while they were figuring things out. So they didn't have to look bad. Smart move. Smart move. He's doing it with Witkoff. Witkoff is now doing this. The Iranians get to feel good, and he doesn't take the hit. That's how he's doing it, right? Morgan says it. World Poker Series for real. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. NW Knox says Gaddafi was, oh yes, he was demised to death with a bayonet. That's right. And it was on like video, like people saw it. I remember that. Yes. Yeah, they don't want that. Yeah. Nobody wants that.
Any further than you already have. You just need to get your uranium, your enrichment levels back down to acceptable levels. Do you understand? Iran has a lot of uranium that is enriched to about 60% purity.
Okay.
in order to be used as a weapon, for a nuclear bomb, it has to be enriched to 90% purity.
Okay.
So they're not there yet, but they could get from 60 to 90% in a matter of weeks or even days.
Days. Damn, days. I remember Dave Smith said this, and he was right. He said, oh, yeah, they're 5 years away. That's what Netanyahu said. He said that back in 1998, 2005, 2010, 2015, last week. He's been saying they're 5 years away for the past 30 years. Now they're days away now. Suppose days away. If they're actually days away, if that's true, if they're days away, why would they in any way, shape, or form stop it? Next Tuesday, they got bombs, right? Stop it. This is insanity. He's making this up. I'm not saying they can't do it, but they're not days away, a week. It's not that's not a thing. He's made that up.
But do you know what level of purity they need to enrich uranium to?
Let's just move on.
And there was nothing in the discussion about Iran stopping supporting its proxies or giving up its missile.
Here's the two things. If Iran gets an actual deal with America, if Iran gets an actual deal where we actually can start talking to each other again and start selling to each other again, they won't have to put their proxies. Now, people don't believe that. They think, no, they're evil and they hate us because we're free and more neocon bullshit. None of that's true. How do I know that? Again, we bombed Vietnam for 10 years. Our war cost them 2 million people. And we're a trading partner with them. Yes, after a generation, people forget if you stop bombing them. That's the evidence. Stop attacking Iran. Make a deal. They don't get nukes. Take off the sanctions. Have conversations. 20 years from now, they'll be our trading partner. That's how it works. 20 years from now, they'll be our trading partner. That's how it works. Just do that. But no, we got to keep punishing them forever because and what if they, not just that, eventually Israel will also be a trading partner. That's impossible. Okay, remember years ago when Egypt and Jordan invaded Israel? They don't do that anymore, do they? They stopped. At one point, money was more important than invading Israel. At one point, that happens. At one point, it does. Israel does not have to have a militarized border with Egypt. It doesn't have to. I mean, it can if it wants. It doesn't have to. It has to have one with, sadly for them, with Gaza. But Israel doesn't have to have a militarized border with Egypt. Not an issue. Not an issue.
Program, which is a year ago yesterday, Iran attacked Israel with the largest ballistic missile attack in world history to that point.
It's the only thing Iran has. You're asking them to take away the only thing they have. They don't have a powerful military. They have a lot of people, a lot of bodies. That they do. A lot of bodies. What, 80 to 90 million Iranians, something like that? So they have a lot of bodies, true. They don't have a large military. They don't have a massive air force, not a thing. They have a small air force, but it's nothing that's going to do anything, right? They don't have anything. Missiles is all they have. They're not going to get rid of the missile program. If you want a deal, they're going to keep the missile program. That's how that works. So you can have not a deal, or they keep their missiles and you have a deal. Keep your missiles. They don't do anything. The missiles they can't make enough of them anymore. They're not even, it's not a thing.
So their missile program is designed specifically to attack Israel. So, and Witkoff is just like,
okay, the Saudis used to be anti-Israel. They're not anymore. If you just, the leadership will absolutely change. Roy says the Iranian leadership are religious zealots. True. They took over in the 80s. True. But before the Iranians were educated, cultured, Western, free. True. Many side with Israel and US and with that freedom back. True. All true. If we make the deal, they don't get the nukes. We don't mess with them for like one generation. We're trading partners. That's how it works. We'll be trading partners again. We will.
Oh, glossing over that. Yeah, no, we're not going to talk about that. I'm not impressed, I have to say.
But you take away your kids' doors and their clothes. So it takes a lot to impress you.
I tell you who else is not impressed.
Tell me who.
Iranians.
They're not.
Iranian media outlets are celebrating right now.
That sounds like they're impressed.
And saying that their delegation trounced the Trump delegation.
Literally sounds impressed.
In Oman. So, man,
I think they're impressed.
That didn't go well.
Okay, this is how this guy thinks. Because the media says they did so well, that's a failure. You're negotiating a peace deal that you want your people to accept. Would it be better if they went back and go, they kicked your ass, the Americans are terrible? He just wants the virtue signal. But if you're savvy and you're Witkoff and you're Trump, and Trump goes, I don't want to go because then I look bad, I'm going to send Witkoff. Witkoff takes the L because he doesn't care because they took an L for Trump. He'll go take the L. How do I know that? For those of you know, I've been a surrogate for candidates before. And the candidates will take the L. So I go out and I take the L for the candidate. Well, Witkoff takes the L for Trump. Now, guys like him who don't get it, who think they're super smart and don't know any better, they sit there and go, he got his ass kicked. No, he took the L for Trump, so Trump didn't take it. And the Iranians can feel good, and they can have an actual deal, and people can stop bombing each other. This is not rocket science. This guy just isn't that bright.
We need to do better. Now, just keep in mind.
We're doing just fine. This is the right
answer. There have been multiple Iranian assassination plots that have been proven.
Okay, now he's going to something. Mike brings up a point. It's not the nukes. We need to stop delivery systems. Okay, if you're going to say long-range missiles, I accept. But they're never going to get rid of missiles, right? It's not a thing. Obama did make the mistake. I agree. I think Obama wanted a better. I think Obama's, in two cases, I'm going to give Obama credit for what he wanted to achieve. I do think he wanted a better deal with Iran. I think he did. And I also think he wanted to break up the China-Russia deal. I think he wanted both of those. He just didn't achieve either. But I think he wanted them. I think he got it. Biden didn't even get it. Didn't get it. Didn't do none of that. Did not even get it. At least Obama understood it and was like, yes, we should try this thing. I'll give him that. I'll give Obama that he actually figured out we should try it. Yes. And this guy's talking about other stuff, which I don't get. Well, putting a brace on a missile makes it a nuke.
Where the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps of Iran, has sent agents into the United States to assassinate the president of the United States.
None of that's true. None of that. Oh, yeah, like the Sears Tower bombing, like that was real. Like taking, was it Whitmer? Like that was real. None of that. Okay, if any of that's true, and I hear this all the time, neocons all the time and stuff, and they're trying to kill us, and they're trying to. Okay, if that's true, okay, they sent agents in here. Okay, great. If that's true, what agents have we arrested? Where are they? How are they not on the most wanted list? Where are they? Oh, these agents who are out here trying to kill everybody. Where are they? It's made up. It's made up. None of that's true. It's made up. Where are they? Who got charged? Oh, which guy was shot down on the streets? How come that isn't in the news every day? We invaded Iraq on shit we just made up. Can you imagine there were agents? He says it, agents that were sent to kill presidents. If that was true, why don't we would have been at war to run a long time ago. None of that's true. That's utter garbage.
And other politicians and leaders.
That's utter just made
there were plots against John Bolton, Mike Pompeo, Oliver North.
No, there's no doubt that's not true. It is them talking trash about him. I'm sure that's true. There's probably chatter online. I'm sure that's true. And they call that plots. It's chatter online. That's not plots. The same as they put those American kids away for the Sears Tower, which wasn't real. They made that up. Whitmer, which they made that up. That's NSA, FBI making up plots to try to be relevant. None of that's real. None of that's true.
The United States has said, look, these are acts of war.
Then why aren't we at war? The United States. Who? This is the they them thing. Well, they said, they did. Okay, who? Which president has said that? Which national security advisor has said that? Which secretary of state has said that? Which congressperson, and half of them are insane, but which crazy congressman has said, yeah, here are the 3 guys who tried to kill the president? Where?
Well, if they are acts of war, and we have proof that Iran is still doing them,
if we did,
and has done them in the past,
yes.
What are we talking to Iran about right now?
Yes, that's why it's bullshit. Correct. You have literally just answered your own question. If it's true and we have proof and they're still doing it, we would be bombing Iran right now, wouldn't we? We'd be invading Iran right now, wouldn't we?
I mean, look, the program that Steve Witkoff brought up in these talks, I have to say, it looks a heck of a lot like the JCPOA.
Yes,
the
it does.
Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action that the Obama administration.
Obama's plan wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. It was based on the concept was good. I go back, I give him credit. The concept was good. Implementation, details, not great, but the concept was very good, right? The concept. I do think Obama was trying, if that makes any sense. I know Mike hates when I say anything good about Obama. He can't stand it, but I'm just being real. I give him credit where credit was due. I do think Obama got it when it came to China and Russia. He just wasn't good at it. Or his team wasn't, I should say. Obama didn't do much when it came to China and Russia. That wasn't really his thing. His team wasn't good at that. And I think making a deal with Iran was the right move. Maybe not that deal, but the concept was good.
Administration agreed to with Iran, which Trump pulled out of in his first term.
Yep.
So Trump didn't like it at all in his first term.
That's not true. Trump didn't like that it was Obama's.
The Iranians now come to Witkoff and say, we want you to unfreeze all of our assets. We have billions of dollars around the world. We want all that unfrozen. We want the sanctions lifted against Iran. And we're going to keep our missile program. And, oh, by the way, we're going to keep shipping stuff off to these proxies around the world.
They didn't say that. That last part he made up.
That's not a good deal.
Okay, that last part he made up. They did not say that. That's not he just said that. That's not what I said.
So they continue to threaten our country. They continue to threaten our president.
Okay, I get it. They threaten. So what? What are they going to do to us? The missiles can't attack us. It's like the Houthis. What are you going to do? Nothing. Like the Vietnamese. The Vietnamese threatened us too. Ho Chi Minh threatened us too. So?
If there is not a military response to that at all, I will be surprised.
Yes.
I do still believe that there will be a military response.
There will not be a military response. He's making up. That's the point. None of that's true. Roy says, the good ideas Obama had undermined by him not being great hiring. I think, you make a very valid point. I think that's true. Roy, he was never a business person. He was never an executive. I think that's true. I think you find more people who have either been executives, either professionally, meaning in the private sector, or executives in governors, mayors. I think they tend to do better at that. I agree with you. He says, a senator, he highlights the senators. Yep. But senators are not givers, are opinion givers, not deciders. Yes. As executives need to be. Need more governors. Agreed. I think that's a valid point. I agree. It's a valid point. Yes.
Against Iran. Let's hope. When our forefathers said in the Constitution, freedom of religion, does that include militaristic political cults like Islam?
Wait a minute. Did someone actually ask that question? Okay, I know who's watching him. Okay, he just told himself. When the founding fathers put in freedom of religion in the First Amendment, was Islam included in that? I'm going to go with yes. Considering that Thomas Jefferson owned a Quran, in case you didn't know that, he owned a Quran. He was not anti-Muslim, right? He didn't like Barbary pirates who happened to be Muslim, but it's not like he was anti-Muslim. He didn't care. He's like, whatever, there's Muslims. Okay, you do you. He didn't care. Yeah. What's he going to say? He's going to say no. He's going to say no.
I don't think that the founding fathers.
Go ahead. He's going to say no.
Imagined.
I haven't seen this part. Like, I just watched some at the beginning so I can kind of grit that. Then I'm watching the rest with you.
That freedom of religion would mean anything that you wanted to call a religion, including a death cult.
Literally, that's what it means.
And that's not the only.
So Islam now is a death cult. And those people are sand people and desert dwellers. And they go back to their holes. Everything he said in this video, I didn't say any of those things. He said all of them. And they only understand violence. We should treat them like our children. That's what he said. I didn't say that. He did. Right? That's what he said. Treat them like children. They don't understand dialogue. They only understand violence. If the civilians die, they die. That's what he said.
Look, radical Islam is not the only death cult out there in the world. I don't think the founding fathers, when they wrote the Constitution, looked at that statement.
Hold on. Shelley says he didn't ask about Islam, but specifically, I think you mean militant Islam. Okay, there's militant everything, right? As Dave mentioned, there's militant Jews who want to make gross in Israel. There's militant Jews too. They exist. I don't think that's not the average Israel, obviously, but they exist. There's militant Christians. They exist. So yeah, but you're still free in America to be that. Now you can't take action on that if that's harming people, but you could even advocate for it. You could advocate, and people do. Today's point, there are people who advocate for gross in Israel. There are people who advocate for it, and they have a right to do so. There are people who want America to be a Christian country only. That will be militant Christianity, and they have every right to advocate for that. They have a right to take action on that would harm others. But yes, you can be as militant as you choose to be. I know that if you go back to the Nation of Islam, particularly in the 60s, it was militant Islam. Yes. Now, of course, our government decided to kill those people, but that's fine. But yes, there we go. Matt says, is that the hard R you mean? Yes, Tuscan Raider. That's the hard R I meant. Mike says, yes, Constitution means cults and Islam and all religions. Correct. Yes, absolutely. Roy says, so this guy thinks our very pro-religion founders would be anti an entire religion, but pro using Christianity as a tool to generate wealth and violence. Yes, Roy. I would say he does think that. Yes, he thinks our founders, who were all at a minimum deists, right? At a minimum deists, they all believed in a creator at minimum. Some of them were more religious. Some of them were more Christian than others, but they were all deists. I don't think any of them were actually atheists. I don't think so. I think they were all at a minimum. For these, deist means someone who believes in a creator, which is why they use the phrase our creator. All of them believed in some form of God, whether they believed in actual Christianity or not. But yes, they believe in those. So in some way, shape, or form. So yeah.
Those people were believers in a Most High God.
True. Is that wrong?
You go back to 1776, and if somebody had walked in and said, I'm going to form a pagan sex cult or a satanic worship center or something like that.
You had a sex cult, Ben Franklin would have been all in. If you had a sex cult, Ben Franklin all in. Like, okay, who's the prophet? I'm in.
Not only would they not have allowed that, they would have probably tarred and feathered that person.
He just makes this stuff up. None of that's true. None of that's true. Ben Franklin was, let's just say, lewd. He would have happily joined that sex cult.
Or hung them from the nearest tree.
Not true at all.
And this is very common. Evil people will pervert everything to make it worse.
Huh. Like using Christianity as an excuse to bomb people overseas? Like that? Like similar to that? Like using Christianity as a reason to call people, basically non-humans, and their children and their families should starve to death. That you're okay with that. They should be dehydrated. They should die of dehydration.
This is Satan's MO. I mean, it's what Satan does. He takes every positive thing,
and
turns it to something negative.
Huh.
And
like turns America into a military complex bombing people all day long. Like that?
Somebody asked me years ago, how do you know if something is good or evil?
Okay, tell me.
I mean, what's the standard that says this is good?
I love this. Evil? I love that. Okay.
Well, the standard is...
What's the standard?
Good leads to life.
Oh, I like that. Good leads to life. Like making a deal with like the Gazans so that the Israelis don't bomb them, making a deal with the Iranians so that we don't bomb the Houthis, making a deal with the Ukrainians so that the Russians don't bomb them. That would all lead to life. Making all these deals that Wickoff is talking about, all these deals so people stop bombing, that would be good. Okay, I think so. Wickoff is good.
And evil leads to death. So anything that...
Oh, leads to death. Like taking away water and buildings from people. Like that?
That leads to life and human flourishing, that's good.
Okay.
Anything that leads to death,
like bombing
that's
people?
Bad.
Like war and years of war, which you just spent the last hour advocating for? Like that? Huh. Pot, meat kettle.
That's evil. And
you have just assigned yourself as evil. And you just said before that evil can't tell that it's evil.
These, I don't know, godless leftists and communists.
Godless
and,
leftists, communists.
You know, socialists. You could go down the list.
Not you, though.
These
communists and leftists. I mean, there are some horrible communists. I mean, he's not wrong on that one. But a lot of leftists I know actually don't want to bomb people. I mean, a communist kind of do. But anyway, just saying, a lot of leftists, they actually don't want to bomb people. I mean, they want to take all my money and treat me like, you know, I'm a child. That part they do, but they don't want to bomb people. So I guess that's something good, right?
Use the freedoms that our founding fathers gave us.
Okay, to bomb people.
And pervert those things from, you know, like the pursuit of happiness, let's say.
Right. Yep. So like pursuit of happiness. Okay, got it. Go ahead. Shelley says Hitler was technically Catholic and Stalin was Eastern Orthodox. In fact, they were both choir boys, not church boys, but altar boys. They were both altar boys. That's correct. Hitler was a Catholic altar boy and Stalin was the Eastern Orthodox altar boy. That's true. I like that.
They pervert that and twist that to mean
to do what?
Erotic liberty.
You can't have erotic liberty. What's wrong? Erotic liberty. I like that one. They twist the idea of you can do what you want into you can do what you want. That's not what it's about. See, what he means is you can do what you want as long as I agree. And if I don't agree, you don't get to have a door. You can't have furniture. You don't get any clothes. Wait a minute. That's erotic. This dude got some erotic freedom going on, doesn't he? Check his hard drive.
I can diddle whatever I want out there, you know, that sort of.
Yes. Okay, let me be very clear where this guy's head is. He's mad at who we diddle. As long as the diddler and the diddle-ee are consenting adults, I don't care who you either diddle or are diddled by. You choose. All good. As long as everyone is both consenting and an adult, we're good. I don't have a problem with that. He's like, that's bad. But bombing people into oblivion, that's fine. Giving people money so that 80,000 Yemeni probably conscripts who are poorly trained throw themselves into a Houthi trap and tens of thousands of people die and we bomb them, that's fine. Love that. That is totally fine. But don't you diddle someone who wants to be diddled. Please, people, diddle away as you see fit. So yes, Shelley says, erotic liberty sounds like he treats his wife like his kids. Yes, absolutely. That's great. Morgan, I can diddle whoever I want. Yes. But there's a thing though. The problem with Diddy on that one is they have to be consenting. There's a problem. See, I threw in the consenting part And because this guy, the adult part, because he likes clearly minors without doors, without furniture, and without clothes. So I had to add the adult part. And of course, also for Diddy, the consenting part.
So no, I don't think they meant that when they
didn't mean
made
that.
the Constitution. That's my opinion.
Of course. Yeah. More shit you made up.
Now, I want to talk about one other thing. Hezbollah, and not just Hezbollah, Iran, Russia, their drone manufacturing capabilities. There was a report out yesterday.
I'm gonna go past this piece. I'm just gonna move on from this piece, guys. I gave you guys a lot tonight. I know I did. I gave you a lot tonight. I hadn't been on in a bit. I wanted to be on. I wanted to tell some jokes. I thought it was kind of cute. I do want you to do me a favor, though, please. Click the button known as like. I know I ask you all the time. Please do it. It does matter. Share this out. It does matter. I'm not as big as this guy. This guy is like way bigger than I am, and he's utterly full of shit. And he's just way bigger than I am. He's way bigger than I am. I would like to. I'm jealous, and I'm not prepared to take away people's doors and clothes and stuff. I'm not ready to do that. You get to have a furniture, and you can diddle who you want to diddle, or be diddled by whom you want to be diddled by. All good. Diddle as you see fit. Consenting adults. Make sure that's clear. Consenting adults. Please do as you like. But I want to grow. So please follow me on Rumble. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on all the things you can. I made 400 followers on Rumble, guys. So thank you so much for that. If you can head over to Sharpe YouTube, please head over there and subscribe and click all notifications so you get notifications. It does matter. All these little pieces matter as we keep growing. And there's a new algo, Mr. Rhythm. This guy, important. Once this is done, once this live is done, it's important that you come back after and comment. YouTube loves that. Once it's over, come back, put a comment. I don't care what it is, but put a comment. I'm going to ask you something now. I'm going to ask you, since we're talking about war, what do you think is the most important either war or conflict America has been in since, not including since the Civil War? Civil War after, what's the most important one America's been in since the Civil War? All right, guys, I'll let you all go. I will be back on tomorrow at 1 p.m. for my radio show. It will be live. I will see you all very soon.